Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Outs here, and we are reacting to a fantastic win over the Chicago Bulls for the Raptors last night in Chicago. And it was, man, I'm so proud of them. They could have slouched against a lesser opponent, but they came to the game professionally and they played to their high level and they routed them by 30 and they didn't mess around. They really, really, really beat them. They beat them at both ends of the court, and they beat them the whole entire game. They jumped out to an amazing lead right from the start. RJ Barrett scoring the first 5 points of the game, and then Brandon Ingram hitting a three to make it 8-0. And they didn't look back after that. And, it was just not a good match for the Bulls. They're a team that's been thrown together just in the last month or so at the trade deadline. And, well, you can see gelling and chemistry and where you're at in connection with your team matters because, a lot of those Bulls guys don't know each other very well because they switched half their team just over a month ago. So, yeah, it's a tough matchup for Billy Donovan and the Bulls, but, credit to Billy Donovan. He's a great coach, and, him and Darko have such a strong connection, and, what can they do? At times, it did feel like maybe they're not trying to win because what's the point at this point in their season with where they're sitting? But still, once again, I wanna circle back to the most important thing. The Raptors could have slouched against a less tough opponent, but they didn't take their foot off the gas. They went ahead and went at them with the strongest effort that they could have, and it showed out there. It showed some dominance. And, does that help Raptors fans feel better about this starting five and this nucleus that we have in Toronto? Yes, because it's proven that they work really well together. They're amazing. Barbecue and Yak and BI3. They're amazing as a five, a starting five. And I'm very, very proud of them. And I want, like I said, I've been saying it this season. Lock that starting five down. We can make the changes around in the bench, and we will be very, very good. And we're gonna, some people are saying, "Oh, we're not gonna compete for a championship soon." Listen, this stuff can happen real fast. The Toronto Raptors are an AP class. We're not like regular NBA team. Some teams take a lot longer to learn. We're more like Colin Murray-Boyles as a whole, a collective. That it doesn't take much to disseminate the information to the players, and they get it. You know, Other teams it may take like 4 or 5 times with the same lesson before they finally get it. But our team is fast and smart, and they understand stuff, and they learn on the fly very fast. So with that kind of learning quickly and having a lot of very good talent, the sky's the limit. And how fast that happens is not to be determined by anything. I say be patient. Don't take what I said and say, "Oh, they're going to be a champion next year." But also open the realm of possibility for magical things to happen because the team is like that. And we can take little shortcuts or secret passageways through the escalator up to the Larry O'Brien to get higher up all of a sudden, just because of stuff like Scotty looks like Kawhi Leonard all of a sudden. That can help you get up the escalator to the top faster if all of a sudden one of your star players is looking like our Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard, because he did. He looked like him last night. Man, those turnarounds are amazing. Holy cow, man. The turnarounds by Scotty are very high level. You see how the ball goes right through the center of the hoop when he turns around and shoots those. They're so measured, and he's been working on them so hard. You can tell. And I'm serious. Those shots are unstoppable like Leonard's, and he's measuring it like Leonard. There's a lot of Kawhi Leonard and Scotty right now. A lot of Kawhi Leonard. All right, y'all. We're going to do all the regular stuff. I'm going to go over the box score. We got the classic card. I missed a birthday yesterday, so I'm gonna have to do the birthday today. We got the straight goods on Canadian goods. We got y'all's comments. Let's get into it, yo. Let's go. Let's go. All right, let's see. First of all, Trevor J, words of wisdom, Commissioner Fun. Thank you, Trevor, for all you do. You do so many little things to help me with this channel, and they are appreciated. Let's just put it that way. They are appreciated for sure. This is his words of wisdom today. The dream lives in your mind, the result lives in your habits. Discipline is the bridge between both. Self belief opens the door, and discipline keeps it open. Consistency is what finally changes life. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely could be applied to basketball. You be consistent with your shot, consistent with your footwork, consistent with your fundamentals. It should add up to success. Just ask Emmanuel quickly. Yeah. That's the thing right there. I like this. This is kind of like the words of wisdom that says that your habits and your life becomes your habits become your life. You do things consistently this way, then this is what's going to be. Yeah, I get this. I get this. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Creek families. That's right. Yeah. All right. Man, the workload on this channel just went into hyperdrive as of yesterday with the announcement that the WNBA has come to a collective bargaining agreement. I've heard a lot of good things about the deal yesterday. They've raised the salary cap to 7 million per team from 1.5 million before. Now think about that. They pay the whole WNBA team 1.5 million salary for all the players in that city. Isn't that crazy to think about that? Well, it's expanded to 7 million. And there's an early report out that Aja Wilson will be one of the first people to sign a mega deal, a max deal of 1.5 million for the Las Vegas Aces to stay in that city and play for that team. So that's a crazy thing. You're like, whoa, 1.5 million. That's like chump change for like a rookie in the NBA. This is how bad it was, how they paid the WNBA players. And this is a huge success. I've heard some interviews with people saying that like the president of the Players Association did an amazing job because she dug in and she didn't give in when they wanted her to. Some of the players were even telling her, "You should just get the deal, get the deal." No, I'm holding out. I'm gonna do the best that I can for us, and you're gonna thank me later. And that's kind of what happened. Crazy marathon negotiations that went on for hours and hours, like 24 hours straight of talking about this and hashing it out. And this arbitrary deadlines that the owners put up was weapon against the players to put a fire under them to make their decision. And we listened to it. We're like, oh, they have to have it done by the 17th, or the whole, they have to have it done by March 10th, and all this kind of stuff. And those were arbitrary dates that the owners were using to put pressure on the Players Association to agree. The players didn't fall for it. The players like, we'll call your bluff. Yeah, you're trying to say these dates are going to mess us up. Well, how let's put the pressure on you. In some ways, in this negotiation, the owners had already lost because they were already cheaping out the players this whole time. So what did they have to lose? Nothing. So, in some ways, their greed and their underpaying of the WNBA players was one of their biggest weaknesses in this negotiation strategy. Because it's like, we have nothing we care about from you guys. We can go to Unrivaled, we can go overseas, and y'all are cheap. So it's like, we'll laugh at you if you say, oh, we're not going to let you work this year. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like you paid us anything anyway. So it's like the owners had no legs to stand on and they had to give in. And well, this is a fantastic deal because the salary cap is now linked to an exponential growth with how the money comes into the WNBA. So it's not a fixed cap, which means as profits go up in the WNBA, the salaries in the WNBA will go up with it. And that's great. This deal is for 6 years with an extra year added on that they can take if they don't like what's going on, they can opt out after 6 years. So yeah, this is fantastic. Apparently, everything on the schedule is going to go down in order of when it was supposed to, as far as the timeline. That we're going to stay on schedule. It's all going to be hurried and rushed. And Sandy Brondello is not going to get a lot of time to get to know her players and train them before they're going to be hitting the court to play. But maybe there's something about that that'll make some sort of like really good energy for the team because of the adversity of the timeline. And, also the whole idea of like, hi, you're my new teammate and I just met you. And now we're going immediately out into a preseason game at Coca-Cola Coliseum to play another team. It's going to be really interesting because honestly, there could be some weird synergy just from instant linking up. This can happen. It's really weird. It's one of the things that would be in the Toronto Tempo's interest is to get some players, whether through free agency or the expansion draft, that are familiar with Coach Sandy. I think back to Dennis coming to Toronto when Darko came, and Dennis Schroeder was somebody very familiar with Darko, so he had like a coach kind of player on his team. Garrett Temple's another good example of a guy like this for Darko. And, Sandy's going to need that kind of player on this roster when they're figuring out their expansion draft and stuff. It could be a player that played for her on Liberty last year. It could be a player that played for her a long time ago on Mercury or another team. But either way, it would be really good if Monica Wright Rogers, Teresa Resch, uh, pinpoint a player that can kind of be a good floor leader and a representative of Sandy on the court as a player. Usually it's a point guard. So we'll just have to see how they build this team. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to happen very fast. In some ways, I'm very overwhelmed in covering it because I'm not totally comfortable covering the WNBA yet, but I will get over time. And I do want to be sensitive to being very respectful of the fact that I'm not the top WNBA expert in Toronto. There's a lot of people that have been covering the WNBA before me, Catherine Naker, Freddie Rivas, all kinds of different people around that know this league way better than I do. But I do know basketball. I know basketball very, very well, and basketball translates beyond whoever's playing it. And that's going to be my approach. If I am insensitive in something I say at some point, I am not above being corrected. So please, if I say something that is sexist, misogynist, patriarchal, absolutely wrong, I want y'all to call me out because this is the action that we should be. We should all strive to be better human beings instead of being, no, you're politically correct, telling me how to do your woke shit. No, fuck you. I want to be the best person I can be. And if I have a blind spot that pertains to the sexes, men and women, I definitely want to be called out on it and corrected. So that's going to be a big thing when we're covering WNBA on this. If I say something that's totally out of pocket because I'm stupid, I do want y'all to tell me, you shut up, Lex, you're crazy. Why did you say that? That's not right. You shouldn't say that about women, Lex. I want to be very good about this, seriously, because this is going to be an interesting round, but I'm going to do it wholeheartedly, just like I do the Raptors. You're going to get ref reports. You're going to get the latest lineup news. You're going to get reactions after every single Tempo game on this channel. And yeah, I'm so excited. I'm glad it's happening. It's like yesterday was another amazing, fantastic day. We got a Raptors route, and we also got the WNBA is going to be playing. That's fantastic stuff. So Trevor's got some of the dates. The expansion draft's going to be on April 1st. And hang on, this isn't totally clear to me. I've got actually a graphic that I can read because the numbers are all jumbled in there, and it's hard for me to read right there. So let me just read the one I've got. From April 1st to the 2nd, there a Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire expansion draft. I'm not sure if they're going to have a 6-day draft. Is that what they're saying? Or they're going to just schedule the draft somewhere in between that time period is what I think they're going to do. I hope they don't have it on April Fool's Day. That would be silly. So I'd much rather put the expansion draft on the 2nd than the 1st. I don't know. Call me silly and kind of like superstitious. I don't want to do the WNBA expansion draft on April the 1st. We can wait one more day just to avoid that day to get the first ever Toronto Tempo players for our team. April 9th through the 11th. Now, see, they could close this window up closer to the expansion draft. Free agency negotiating window opens, and then they can actually sign the free agents on April the 12th. So, man, this is all going to happen so fast in less than a month from now. Then on April the 13th, they'll have the regular WNBA draft where I guess I think that the Tempo are picking 6th. I think that's what I remember. Training camp will open on the 19th, and then preseason starts on the 25th. And then on May 8th, the WNBA regular season will start completely. So this is a lot, and there's going to be a lot of information. There's going to be a whole roster of players that we're going to have to learn and understand. Maybe some of them will be familiar to us from our WNBA fantasy league and our watching of the WNBA over the years before. I'm sure a lot of them will be. And well, it's just going to be a lot of fun. Building something up from the ground like this with Teresa Resch, it's just exciting. It's not just exciting for her and Monica and Sandy and for the city of Toronto also. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited about this stuff, man. And I'm definitely going to be going down to a tempo game this season. Yeah, I got to definitely check them out in their first year. That's for sure. Yeah. Trevor's saying the Raptors demolished the Bulls last night and Memphis beat the Nuggets last night. This is a good sign. You know, the Nuggets are weird right now. I think that they're like 4-6 out of their last 10. Something's a little weird with them right this second, right? So maybe they're a little weakened or something weird. And when we go see them tomorrow night, maybe we can add another L column to their column. Yeah, this is weird because Grizzlies are not in the playoff picture. They're kind of on the outside. And well, we're better than the Grizzlies. So this is the kind of stuff that makes you have hope. You know, we lost to the Nuggets around New Year's without Nikola Jokic, and it was embarrassing. You know, it's like, oh, we need to beat the Nuggets. They don't have Nikola. And then we go and lose to them. Yeah, that didn't work. So, if anything, we need to even the season series against them by beating them on their home court. And well, we got to do this also because we're in a precarious place in the playoff race. So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to go beat them. This is a good sign, but this could also backfire, Trevor, because they just got beat by a bad team and they may be like circling the wagons to get more ready to get the win back because they feel bad they lost the team they shouldn't have. So there's a two sides to the thing. In some ways, it's kind of would be better if the Nuggets had just blown out the Grizzlies like we just did to the Bulls because maybe they're resting on their laurels and they're not in high alert because they just lost to a bad team. So that's that could be you could look at it that way too. Trevor's saying love that block by Jacoby on Jones at the hoop. Yeah. Just circling back to the question about the Nuggets or talking about the Nuggets. It was really cool. In the post-game interview, Darko spoke Serbian in the interview. Like I know he's done it a couple times before, but I hadn't really heard it until yesterday. Is really cool hearing him take questions in Serbian. Of course, because we're going to play Nikola, that's a big question for the reporters in Serbia back home for the coach and the one of the best players in the world, Nikola Jokic. It's a big matchup. So that was pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, a lot of respect Darko has for Nikola. Trust me. A lot of respect. So yeah, that block by Jacoby on Jones at the hoop, very, very clean, very, very high level. Jacoby got the chain last night, and he got it for little things like that. He got it for making threes. He got it for playing really good defense. He got it for being the right guy at the right time in the right place. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that Walter was doing as a off the bench guy that was absolutely high level, and that's why he got the chain. Before the game, there was a funny little skit that happened. And well, Benny the Bull is one of the best mascots in the NBA. He's been voted the best mascot many times. I still think it's the Raptor, but they're very close. They're very, very close as far as like entertaining, legendary mascots. Benny the Bull is very legendary. So he goes to get Jacoby before the game and he gives him a little kid's baseball bat, like a little plastic bat. And he has another mascot with him who's like a pitcher mascot. I guess maybe there's a baseball team in the Chicago area that this is the mascot of. And that mascot pitches the ball. They're just goofing around. This is pregame in the warm-ups. And he throws this big oversized baseball at Jacoby with the bat, and Jacoby hits it. He doesn't strike out. He hits the ball. He makes good contact. He knocks that ball real good, and it goes over towards the two mascots, and Benny catches it. Benny catches it like he's an outfielder. And he's like, and then they signal the referee call, you're out. You're out. Or like, I don't know. It's like this. It's like, you're out or something like that. I guess that's the umpire's hand motion for out. And then all of a sudden, Sandro bum rushes the scene. He comes running in and he grabs the little kid's bat from Benny the Bull or from Jacoby or whoever had it at that time. And he takes it and he starts beating the pitcher mascot with it. just beating him, just beating him. I was like, what is going on here? This is out of control. It's like Sandro Mamu had the spirit of Robin Lopez enter him. And is this going to be a common thing now, Mamu Kelishvili, that you're going to be attacking the opposing team's mascots while we go places? Are you going to go get Rocky the Cougar tomorrow? Rocky the Mountain Lion? Are you going to go beat him up? I was talking to Alessandro about it last night and this morning and saying, man, your friend, bro, what is he doing, man? Beating up these mascots. He's like a terror. And he's like, bro, he's so funny, man. It was funny when I saw it happen last night during the game, because I saw it on the game. I didn't just see it the clip because I saw the whole thing. I really was rolling on the floor laughing after that, man. I was just like, what is going on here? That was so funny. Little did I know that Sandro with the bat was kind of a preview of the game outcome. A little bit of a preview of the game outcome right there. Yeah. Trevor's saying RJ's in his bag now, defense and offense. Yeah. I think that people can start trying to say that RJ Barrett's a good two-way player in the NBA. I think that you can say that and be safe on this. He's starting to get there with his defense. Yesterday, the thing that RJ, his assignment, he had to guard Buzelis, and he was also switching off on Giddey too. And those two guys are very different. They're definitely the best two players on the Bulls right now. And man, Buzelis is such a weapon. He was hitting those threes at a certain point. He got a little hot and he got a little run himself. They did a really good job on Giddey. Really, really good job on Giddey. Giddey was very limited offensively, and he was frustrated. That's always a good thing to see Giddey frustrated. But yeah, RJ having to guard Buzelis, who's a taller guy. In some ways, he's a very quick guy for being tall. That's a very hard defensive assignment. And he met it very well. He did a pretty good job. So yeah, I'm very proud of the strides and the work that RJ Barrett has put in on the defensive end this year. And I think his teammates and his coach are too, because they said it in interviews recently. That's for sure. Yeah, Raptor Freak James is in the house. Good morning, James. Good to see you, man. Cade Cunningham diagnosed with collapsed lung. Oh my gosh. What? Gonna miss extended time. This is not the time for this. And the franchise player, man, this is not good. I mean, in some ways, this means Detroit may fall out of the number one spot by the end of the year. May. I'm not gonna say for sure, but it's looking like it's probable. And that the Pistons will not be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs. That I'll predict, because there's enough of a runway with Jason Tatum returning, that Boston is going to go get that number one seed somehow, some way, and NBA scriptwriters will want it that way. They want it that way. This sucks. I hate hearing this for the Pistons. I hate hearing this for Cade Cunningham. Like, when is he going to be able to come back? This is not a normal injury that I hear about. Collapsed lung. That's not good. That's not good. Maybe it is the kind of injury, though, that he can come back from and he'll be ready for the playoffs and they'll be powerful. I don't know. I don't know the timeline for collapsed lung. I really don't. I know the timeline for most injuries that people do in the NBA, but I've never ever heard of somebody getting a collapsed lung and how long they would be out for. So I can't give any educated guess on the time frame for Cunningham and how long he's out. Yikes, this is not good. Shaq Lindsay's not liking it either. He's like, no! Thank you for supporting the channel. As a member of the channel, Shaq Lindsay, I appreciate you. Jimmy's here. He's like, damn, that's terrible news on Cade. It is. I hate hearing this kind of stuff. Pistons fans, I respect y'all. I like y'all. And I liked y'all being a number one. If it's not going to be the Raptors, well, let's let it be the Pistons. Yeah, I don't want the Celtics up there. So in some ways, I'm rooting for y'all, Detroit, in this adversity to get through this without your leader. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I really don't. James Anthony, good morning to another James. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, James. I need Scotty to go for 50 points this season. That mid-range game is sweet. Yeah, man. I know. I used to bother Scott about this on his Twitch streams. When he was young, like really young, in his first 2 years, Scotty spent a whole summer on Twitch after his rookie year. And we were already bugging him then about this. I'm like, Scotty, go get 40, bro. Go get 40. I wasn't even trying to get 50 because, he's never even gotten 40, right, James? He hasn't gotten even 40 yet. I mean, there was a long time before he even got 30, which is crazy because it seems like 30 is nothing. You see Brandon get 38 like it's nothing in the game, right? Well, Scotty he's not aggressive enough with his own shot, but there's going to be a time period where he does turn that on, where he's more confident and more comfortable, and he's going to turn that on at some point in his career, what you're describing. It's just that he's still the team first, everybody else first guy. But I want him to be more selfish. In some ways, it's like I feel like Scotty's unselfishness, I've said this on this channel before, is selfish. It's selfish because in some ways, if he did go off like you're talking about, that would really help the team win. And that's not being selfish. It's kind of like this weird situation where with most NBA players, you have to teach them to share the ball more and to be less selfish. But this is the opposite with Barnes. It's the weirdest thing in the world. A player that you actually have to encourage to be more selfish. That's so rare. So rare in professional basketball when it's like that. Yeah, I want him to get 40 first before he gets to 50, but those days will come at some point in his career. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they would. The schematics, the architect Darko with the idea of like Scotty and who he is in like the next few years, there may be some of that aspect to it where he is that kind of guy that can drop a 50 bag. I'm calling out for it too. In fact, I told him all the time in the chat, Scotty, go get 40. Go get 40 in the next game. Go get 40. And well, he's going to go help Brandon and RJ get 40 before he's going to help himself get 40. But yeah, those shots, oh my gosh. And you can really tell he's really been practicing with Brian Macon on him because everything is so detailed and so fundamental and so pinpoint right now. Like the footwork is impeccable. And the other thing about what was different with how he went into his mid-range turnarounds last night is he was very quick to go into them. Sometimes there's a little bit of a slow little kind of move a little bit and then go into it. No, it's like he's catching the ball and he's immediately going into his bump into the back and then his footwork, step rhythm, and then turn around. And then when you see how the ball's in his hands, first of all, he does have claw hands like Kawhi. He has huge hands, just like Leonard. You can see how he holds the ball a certain way when he's turning around and how lined up he is. And then the fundamentals of the spin off his huge fingers. And then you see just the rotation. And then you see actually the ball is right in the center of the hoop when it goes through on those mid-range turnarounds. This is so Leonard. It's so Leonard because it's so reminiscent of Kawhi and the work and the way he built his mid-range because it's so fundamentally perfect. It's like this the spin and the hand stuff is all perfect. The footwork is all perfect. And now with the added dimension that I saw last night, the new wrinkle is that he's going into the move quickly off of getting the ball right away instead of waiting. And it's really devastating because it's super confident. And the beat is there. Boop, boop, boop. I'm there. Boom, shot. And it's straight through the middle of the hoop. And well, how many of those did he hit last night? He hit like 3 or 4 of those, right? Yeah. Yeah, really good stuff. And then we saw Scotty do the running left-handed hook bank off the backboard in a kind of a semi-fast break. Oh, chef's kiss. That was awesome. That was like an old school 80s move. That was like something Kareem would do or Magic Johnson. Running up down the lane and just using the left-handed hook and banking the shot off the backboard. Very high skilled, very high level. And very old school, very, very old school. That's an old school move right there. James, thanks for the subscription. Look forward to more comments. Smooth saying this, as much as Scotty shows Leonard-like skills, he's not consistent. That's not what I just said. I think he's going to be more a Ben Wallace, a bit of Scottie Pippen as well. He's already got Ben Wallace in him, but I don't like to sewer him with just Ben Wallace. He's got Tim Duncan in him. I mean, that's that player type, the help defender, the shot blocker, the help shot blocker, the team leader on defense, the vocal leader on defense, the guy who's coming as the last line or coming from wherever, there's a whole aspect to that. In some ways, the part that is different than Wallace and Duncan is the aspect that he has guard skills, that he has ball handling skills, and that he also gets out there and maybe steals the ball a little bit more in the backcourt than Wallace and Duncan would because he can cohabitate out there also and be a real pest at any point on the floor. He can be that low post defender, or he could be outside and guarding guards and being a pest to try and steal the ball, just like Shed. So in some ways he differentiates himself from Ben Wallace and Tim Duncan. That whole aspect of his guard ability for guards in the backcourt. So yeah, let's Ben Wallace is a very good player, but let's give him a little bit better. Let's say he's Tim Duncan. Let's say he's Tim Duncan. Yeah, but there's a lot of similarities, especially when Scotty puts his hair up like Ben Wallace used to, right? You could say there's some Ben Wallace there. Now, the Scottie Pippen thing, I've never agreed with any kind of comparison of Scottie Pippen to Scotty Barnes because I feel like that's just lazy and it's their first name. They're not they're not similar players in any kind of way. I really don't. I mean, the only argument you could say that Pippen is like Barnes is that they both had all-round games. That's it. That's it. They're the way they approach things and their body type and all kinds of other stuff is just not anywhere near each other. But you could say because they both stat stuff and they get categories all over the place, you could say they're comparable for that, but not by the means of how they do it. Not by the means of how they do it. Yeah. Scotty being a point forward, sometimes he's too bulky and big and too much of a bulky post player. I mean, Scotty Pippen was a point forward. And I mean, maybe you can make that comparison too. Maybe a little bit there. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying good practice run for the game tomorrow against the Nuggets. Yeah, I mean, it really is important that the Raptors practice good habits. And you could play a team that's obviously not going anywhere for the rest of the year, and you could you slum down with them, get down on their level. And we've seen teams do this in the past, Raptors teams, where we're a good Raptors team, but we're playing a bad team, and we don't play like we should. We play like the other team, and we're just playing to compete with them at their lower level. No, we can't do that. And I like how right up until the end, until actually they took the starters out about 8 minutes to go in the game, Darko was coaching them so hard right up until then. Like he coached them hard all the way to the end, but you saw him yelling at Sandro in the fourth quarter when we're up by 30. And he's basically, coaching and yelling at him and holding standards, even with a 30-point lead. That stuff is awesome. It's like, and when, the other guys that come in, Grady and Garrett and Trace and Jonathan, the standard of excellence isn't there as much and they're making mistakes and stuff, but at least they're going all out and trying, you know? So yeah, I'm really proud of the not let down, even though you have a huge lead. There were a couple times in the third quarter where Giddy and them could have gotten a run going and ate up part of our lead, and they were kind of threatening to do that here and there. It's kind of like the lead was right around 25 in the third quarter, and if like Giddy got like a little bit of 5-point run and they were down by 20 all of a sudden, the Raptors, instead of letting it continue that way, they'd be like, nope, we're going to put it right back up to 25 at least. And then in the fourth, they busted it open and made it 30. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's important stuff because it's easy to get lackadaisical when you have a really good lead and when you are dominating. It's really easy to kind of just like, well, we're beating their ass. Let's just take it easy for a little bit. But no, they stayed on them and they stayed on them the whole game and didn't relent. And that's good. That's really, really good because you don't want them to get lazy just because they're kicking so much butt, right? You don't want them to get lazy. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Stargate's here. Good morning, Stargate. Hey, I think Scotty Barnes will show Scotty Barnes like skill, maybe with a little Scotty Barnes, or maybe more like a Scotty Barnes type player. That's who I compare him to. This is fair too. I think that you know player comparisons are fun for fans, but not necessarily for players. In some ways, they get tired of it. Scotty's been a good sport about it. I mean, I think this is true too, and they've answered questions like this before. Like, who do you want to be like this person? Draymond Green, Scotty's like, no, I want to be like Scotty Barnes. I don't want to be like Draymond Green. I want to be like Scotty Barnes. I'm going to be the first Scotty Barnes, one of one. Yeah, I respect this comment by Stargate, but fans are bored and they like to refer stuff to stuff and to get a better understanding of what's going on. There's nothing wrong with fan comparisons and having discussions about it too you know. But I like your message because it is true. These guys are all individually who they are. We're all snowflakes in this world. Wait, that didn't sound right. We're all individual, different, and that's just how it is. So that's just how it is. Reggie's here. Good morning to Smooth Brown Man. He's saying the Raptors did what they had to do against the Bulls. Now the real test begins. Yeah, I mean, these are all kind of tests, though. There was a test last night, and the test was, what do you do when it's easy? Do you get lackadaisical? Do you take the night off? Do you play down to your competition? No, you hold a standard and you play the way you're supposed to for your coach and what he's demanding of you. Man, Darko is such a good coach, guys. He's such a good coach. And the last 3 games shows why he's such a good coach, because we've had a breakthrough from some bad stuff happening in recent weeks to a whole other place. And it really is like what we said. You have to go through failure to get to success and understand it. And well, this is the thing. Scotty and RJ have said this in interviews after the game since, and Brandon too. We just found out what we're capable of and what we're doing, and we can't let this up. Now that we know the formula and we know what it takes to win games, this is what RJ said specifically last night. We have to keep applying this and doing it over and over again. So, whatever they've learned since New Orleans to Phoenix to Detroit to Chicago is building and the techniques and the tendencies that is going to make you have the best chance to win. And they're going to try and duplicate the best things they're doing that are leading up to doing the winning, and that may include continuing to strive and fight for the highest percentage shots in the fourth quarter for Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett, so that we can carry us home and land the plane at the end of games with victories in tight contested games against very high level opponents. The Bulls announcers were beaming about us. Kendall Gill in their post game after said, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. This team is very, very dangerous. They're underrated, and they're also somebody that a lot of people are sleeping on right now. That's what Kendall Gill, former NBA player, said in his prognosis of what he saw with the Raptors last night. Yeah, you don't want to play them, and nobody's actually understanding that. They may be thinking, oh, the Raptors are this, the Raptors are that. Well, you find out if we're in the right place. We have good health, and everything's good. We are going to be very dangerous in the playoffs. Very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. That's right. That's right. Let's keep going. Let's see. Seymour's here. Good morning to the sheriff. Seymour Pape, the city slicker, who's out west in Alberta, holding it down for the Raptor Freak family. Who else whacked some beef after a convincing win? Chop steak bites. Yeah, I need to cook that beef that I showed you yesterday. I need to cook it today in celebration. I'm going to have myself a beef roast. And I'm going to act like it's the Benny the Bull. I'm going to act like it's a part of his body. I'm like, I'm eating a piece of Benny the Bull. Yum, 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 yum. That's a little weird, man. But salute to the sheriff, Seymour Pape, holding it down. Regulators, mount up. That's right. Naco the Nacho saying, oof, oof. That is a disaster for Detroit. Listen, resiliency can be found when things like this happen. Next man up, right? Next man up. It is a disaster, but are they sunk for this? No, I would not count them out, even though they're going to be missing Cade. It's like, really, how do they adjust to this? Well, who's going to be stepping up to be the man for them for a little while? Is it Jalen Duren? Is it going to be somebody else on the team that could kind of play a little bit like Cade in his role, is similar to him? Whatever it is, they've been winning a lot this year. JB Bickerstaff is a creative coach. They're going to figure something out. And we may be a little bit surprised that they don't totally drop off just because Cunningham's gone. So, you guys we always think, well, that guy's gone, they're done. That's not always true. It could be true for Philadelphia. Embiid's done, they're gone. Paul George is gone, they're gone. Maxi's gone, yeah, they're done. Yeah, that may be true for the Sixers. But with the Pistons, you might be shocked about how resilient their team is, even without their number one guy. I'm going to say this right now, and we're going to remember Lex said this. Just because I heard Cade Cunningham has a collapsed lung doesn't mean I'm going to say the Pistons are in trouble. Now, it may very well mean that the Celtics jump over them as number one team, but I'm not going to say that they're just totally going to just plummet and become a horrible team just because Cade's out. So, we temper what you think is going to happen, because it's probably right in the middle of what you think. It's not really the extreme bad or the extreme good. It's probably right in the middle. G's saying, I think expansion draft April 1st through 6th is the time they have to get players that are not protected from the other teams. The actual draft is April 13th. Yeah, how it works is how they did it for our expansion draft for the Raptors way long time ago. Is basically it's a draft. So I don't understand why they're doing it over 6 days. They can do it in one night. They'll have the Portland representative show up and the Tempo representative show up, and they'll sit there and they'll look at the list of the players that weren't protected in the expansion draft. And depending on who gets the first pick, I hope we do. Maybe we'll get our first BJ Armstrong. We pick our BJ Armstrong. That's what we got to get is the Tempo's BJ Armstrong, the first ever expansion draft pick in the expansion draft. But it's a draft, just like the draft. So it's not like a free agency period where we're picking people. We have to go back and forth between Portland Fire with picking players in that expansion draft. Now they're already talking about an expansion draft for the NBA because of the expansion news. And people are already trying to speculate which players on teams will be protected from the expansion draft in the NBA. Yeah, I don't know. That all that stuff's got to be figured out. Let's do the WNBA stuff first. I don't care about the NBA expansion. It's nowhere close as the WNBA expansion, which is coming up next month. That's right. That's right. Let's see what else you guys are saying this morning. Trevor J saying March Madness starts today. Yeah, I didn't do a bracket. I don't care. Sorry, guys. I do cover basketball on this channel, but college basketball is a big blind spot for me. And I have no idea who the favorite is. I have not looked at a bracket. I'm not doing one. I don't normally do a bracket. But speaking of fantasy sports and stuff like that, I did reopen our WNBA Fantasy League yesterday with the news of the agreement. So if you played in the league last year, you should have gotten an email saying to come back. And I want to go over the teams real quick. And honestly, I want y'all to check in with me if you're here right now, because I want to know who actually wants to play. If there's teams that are not really active that played last year, I'm going to kick you out and I'm going to bring some new teams in. So, Cool Cat, if you are around, please message on this chat. Even after I'm done, if you're not here live, write in the chat or write in a comment that you would like to renew your WNBA team. James, if you are here right now, go ahead and confirm it for me, please. JP, Reese's Pieces or Reese's Nieces. JP, my good friend John Paul, who came to Real Jerk. And RIP, the founder of Real Jerk. I heard that he died recently. It's sad. Very, very sad. But yeah, JP, if you could reach out to me. You haven't been in the chat or anywhere. If you really want to play WNBA, you need to let Lex know. MK, you got to let us know if you want to defend your title. I'm pretty sure you will. Edmund, I keep putting you in there, but if I find somebody who's going to be more active, I'm going to kick you out. Kareem, you got to tell me you want to play. Fiercey, I know you want to play, so I'm not even going to ask you. Logical Raptors fanatic, if you want to play again this year, you let me know. If you don't, I will try and get another team because I know you just came in to help me round it out last year. And Kaz, if you are here, let me know. They only allow 10 teams. It's very limited. So I want to make sure that we get 10 active roster members, managers to really, like the thing that Kaz was saying yesterday about our NBA Fantasy League. I want our WNBA Fantasy League because there's only 10 teams to be 10 very active managers. So if you want to get on this WNBA fantasy season with us here on the Raptor Freak channel, well, let it be known you want to play and you're serious about it and you promise that you'd be an active manager, and I'll kick one of the inactive managers out and put you on. Yeah, because we want to have a really good season this year with 10 very, very competitive teams because it's been a lot of fun the last 3 years we've played. We've played a few years now. That's right. All right, let's keep going in the chat. Nako saying Jacoby was real good. All right, let's go ahead and do the stars of the game. Jacoby's not my number one star for the game yesterday. It is RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has been like the best Raptor, like 4 out of the last 7 games. Absolutely fantastic. He came out of the gates swinging with getting points right away, outscoring the Bulls by himself. RJ, 27 minutes, 23 points on 9 of 15 shooting. His field goal percentage for the season is phenomenal. In fact, I think at the end of the year, people are going to look at his field goal percentage out of New York, and they're going to be like, what the hell? How did RJ shoot so well this year? Yeah. Yeah, when you utilize him correctly and you don't put all the pressure on the world on him with your media and your fans, well, RJ will flourish. RJ will flourish. And you've got a little bit of Canadian love and feeling good of being at home. And well, he's has more attention to detail for efficiency. Maybe Darko has demanded RJ bring his efficiency up, that's important, and RJ's thriving in it. But yeah, 9 for 15 shooting night. Yeah, you can only dream of that now, Knickerbocker fans. You didn't get that often all the time with him, but he's doing it here consistently now. That's right. 3 of 7 from three. I love the open threes by RJ. He really gets it lined up and he's so dependable. And he really, like, the confidence in his 3 point shot makes me want him to take big shots at the end of the game when the game's on the line because he really, really is money from three if he's open. He's money, man. 2 for 2 at the free throw line. Also, he hasn't missed a free throw in 2 games now. So, RJ, you're improving in little ways too. The fact that your free throws are more than 50% right now. And you're 2 for 2 at the line. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 block, a plus 25 for number 9, Star J. Barrett. The satisfaction and the enjoyment I get from seeing Toronto Kid do this and be like this is just amazing, man. And he's just loving it. Like, even in his post game conference, he's so confident, he's so measured. And the questions that come at him, he's just like, he's laughing them off sometimes. And he's just like, yeah, my life is so good. I'm a Toronto Raptor and we're winning and I'm a big part of it. So my life is so good. Yeah, RJ, salute to you, man. Number 1 star of the game in my book. My second star is Brandon. Brandon was really interesting. He didn't even get 20 points, and I want to give him the star still. The thing is that Brandon was almost perfect from the field. He did miss his 7th shot, but he was 6 for 6 to start the game, and everybody's going crazy about that. Like, that was all pretty much in the first half. He did all his damage in the first half. And he was amazing. Like, he really was locked in and really knew where that basket was. And he was shooting shots with Jalen Smith in his face. Like, Jalen Smith would be right there in his face, and Brandon would sink the shot over his arms. And, much like Scotty, we have 2 very high level mid range shooters now, and they're both very dangerous. And man, Brandon Ingram is so smooth, and it didn't take a whole lot. Like, in some ways, if you're playing a lesser opponent and the intensity isn't in the matchup isn't as tough, he can come out and do his work early and totally destroy the game for the other team and leave it wide open and then go sit down. And he doesn't have to do much work for the rest of the game. Like, this is kind of what happened last night. It's like Brandon was very prominent in the first half, but in the second half, we didn't need him because the game had been busted open by then. And it's valuable rest time for a guy who's played amazing amount of games this year. He's so happy about that. Credit to Alex McKechnie and the medical staff for getting Brandon Ingram the most games played in his NBA career ever, I think, this year. I don't think he played more than this ever in a season before. So he's really getting out there, and that's got to be so satisfying to him professionally that he is not missing games. And well, it's a long haul still. If you've got them beat already, if Brandon's come out there and done his part to mess them up, he can go sit down for a majority of the rest of the game, and that's not a big deal. 29 minutes for Brandon, 18 points on 6 of 7 shooting. He hit his only 3-point attempt. He made all 5 of his free throws, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, and a plus 37. Yeah, the highest plus minus on the team, a plus 37. The Raptors outscored the Bulls by 37 points when Brandon Ingram was on the court. Man, the way the Raptors share the ball is so beautiful. This is not common. Usually there's selfishness. And the fact that they are so all over the place. In fact, the Bulls announcers are talking about that during the game and saying that the Raptors will give the ball to each other because they know they're going to get it back. And they're at this level of sharing that it's like the selfishness just doesn't exist. And that's kind of how you get so many Raptors scoring 17 plus in the game yesterday. We had 6 players score at least 17 points in the game yesterday. And that's distribution, that's equality, that's egalitarian kind of offense where we're moving the ball around. And, it's not it doesn't matter who takes the shot. You're all going to get shots and your times will come, but we're going to take the best shot. and we're going to work the ball around to the best shot. And there's no ego, and it's nobody saying, no, I need my turn now. I need my turn now. No, it's dictated by the defense and where the ball goes and where it makes sense. The highest percentage shot, the best shot. And that they play by that credo, and everybody gets to eat, and it goes more smoothly, and it's so much harder to beat. It's so much harder to beat. In that beautiful game, the passing game, the European style of Darko, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Holy cow, you gotta love it. My third star of the game is Scotty. I've talked a lot about Scotty and his mid-range turnaround and what he did with that. There's other stuff I want to talk about. There's a little bit of smack talking between him and Colin Sexton last night. A little bit of disagreement about a foul, and Colin's talking some trash, and well, Scotty talking back to him, and kind of getting a little angry, a little aggressive. That's the thing, man. I said this in the last week. If people are going to try and punk the Raptors like DeJounte Murray, Scotty Barnes, you just need to hulk up. You just need to be like, okay, because this will scare people off from trying to do it. It's important, seriously, because if they think we're soft, if they think we can be pushed around, well, you're the antidote because you're a big bad man who can take a little baby on their back and you can crush them and throw it on their head. So you should start to learn to build a reputation of fear, Scott, around this league. People feared Michael Jordan. People feared Kobe Bryant. People should fear Luka, apparently, because Mattis said something to him and he went off and got 51 on him. That's the thing. If you are a very powerful, talented NBA player who can do damage as far as scoring and winning games because you're pissed off, they should fear you. We want to get it to the point where the other team doesn't say jack shit to the Raptors, because if you do, Scotty Barnes will give you the wrath of him. And that's what I want to see develop in the next part of your career. Scotty, I know you're listening to us somehow, some way, because you're doing some of the shit that we were asking you to do over the last couple of years. You have been moving in this direction. So I feel like you don't have to be a straight up enforcer like RJ, where you're going to come in and take care of people if there is a fracas on the court and get in somebody's face and stand up and bow up if you have to. RJ can handle that, because in some ways that's not in your personality. But this could be in your personality, where somebody slights you, somebody disrespects you, somebody disrespects your teammate, somebody's talking trash like Goodwin the other night against Phoenix. You go get some anger put out on them and do something offensively at the other end where they're like, whoa, don't say that to him again. Don't poke the bear. Seriously, don't poke the bear. Why'd you say that to Scotty, man? Why did you say that to RJ? Don't poke the bear. You don't want to piss off Barnes, because Barnes is going to go off and we're going to get beaten by him. We want this reputation, Scotty, because you're powerful like this. And I think that this could develop more and more in the next few years of happening. And if we see this kind of thing that I'm describing right now start to develop more, and you guys will understand, it's like, whoa, Raptors Freak was right. Maybe Scotty is one of the most feared players in the league, and nobody wants to piss him off at this point, because if they do, they know he's going to go beat their ass on the court. Scotty had 25 minutes, 18 points on 6 of 10 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 5 of 6 from the field, free throw, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, only 1 steal, no blocks in this game. Interesting. A plus 14. Yeah, Scotty had a heat check 3 at one point, and he hit it. And yeah, he was just in the zone for a little while. We had all 3 of them. Actually, there was a couple guys that got in the zone at different times. We had Brandon in the zone early. RJ was in the zone early. And Scotty got in his zone somewhere around the late second, where he was hitting a whole bunch of mid-range. We had different guys. The 3B guys really got into the zone. Brandon, Barnes, and Barrett. They really got in the zone at different times. And even Emmanuel kind of got in the zone for little bits of time in this game last night too. And I like that kind of stuff. So salute to Scotty Barnes, my 3rd star of the game. My 4th star of the game is Pirtle. Pirtle, man. Pirtle is one of the most important players on our team because he is just singularly the guy who provides certain things for this team. There's no other person on this team that can do some of the things that Pirtle does for our team. And that needs to be respected by Raptors Nation and casuals and nephews that follow the Raptors. Stop throwing Pirtle under the bus. Stop talking about him being overpaid. Stop talking about how he's washed because of his back. All of this is fake news. It's fake news. To play his position with his skill and his agility, you have to pay a little bit more, people. Hello. Don't take this line from ESPN just because they are trying to put a tag around him that he's overpaid for what he is. That's not right. That is totally wrong. In fact, could even make an argument that he's a great deal at his contract. I think also some people have a misconception about how much he's getting paid. Some people are trying to say he's a $30 million player. That's not true. Jakob Poeltl makes 19 million a year. I don't understand why they said this. I mean, he got his contract that he's on right now front loaded. So he got paid the most in his first year on it. And then it kind of goes into like 19, and it's a team friendly deal that goes down as the years go on so that we have more money open up for expanding and making the team better. So I don't know where this narrative about Jakob Poeltl's contract's a bad contract came from. I think it came from American media that just wants to kind of subterfuge the perception of the Raptors. And sadly, because they're bona fide, verified media, which no American media should be taken seriously at this point, guys. It's basically North Korea down there. ESPN is full of shit, and people need to stop listening to their perceptions, their opinions, and understand the reality. The reality is Jakob Poeltl is an essential player of this team, and he's actually on a pretty good deal. You think he's not worth 19 million a year to have good, steady rim protection and shot blocking, and a guy his size that can run up and down the court that fast? Once again, that is rare. That is not easy to find. And plus, for some reason, we are not getting a lot of big guys flocking to come to Toronto. And this guy really wanted to come here. And he said that. I feel like this is the action of what happens. We get a player like Jakob who really wanted to play for Toronto. That's why he's like, I'm so happy I got traded back. I'm so happy. I'm going to sign with them free agency on a team friendly deal. We hear RJ Barrett say, I'm so happy to be back home playing for my hometown team that I love. It's like the hater fans hear that. They hear players on our team that said they love being here, and then they circle around and start making bullshit up about trying to make our fan nation turn on them and kick them out. Stop being sheep and falling for this, Raptors fans. You can think for yourself. Watch the game and understand what these guys make and whether you think that they are worth it on our team for what they're getting paid. And you don't need ESPN to tell you what to think, right? You don't need me to tell you what to think. I'm just explaining to you to have critical thinking and think for yourself and stop mimicking the U.S. media and what they think about Jakob Poeltl and R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, because they don't have good intentions for us. They don't want good things for us. If they hear a player said I'm so happy to be in Toronto again. I love Toronto. All of a sudden they're making a Jake Fisher rumor up or some other bullshit out there. So stop being manipulated in this way, Raptors Nation, and understand the U.S. media is not our friend. And second of all, they don't know what they're talking about because none of them actually pay attention to us, and none of them actually, if they're going to cover us, they're going to do it lazy and just say, I don't understand the Raptors. I don't know what they're doing up there. Well, maybe do your job and go watch them, and maybe you can figure out then. And if you don't watch them and you're spouting opinions about them, shut the fuck up is what I would say. Poeltl, 21 minutes, 17 points on 7 to 10 shooting. He was 3 for 3 at the free throw line. So what a glorious day between Barrett and Poeltl, 5 for 5 at the free throw line yesterday. That's amazing. 8 rebounds for Yak, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and 1 steal and 1 block. Yeah, plus 33 for Jakob Poeltl. This was a game that we didn't need him heavy because the Bulls aren't a huge team. They don't have Vucevic anymore. And Jalen Smith is not a full-size center. So we could have played more small ball. And this was a great opportunity to rest the big Austrian hammer because he wasn't totally necessary like he was against the Pistons. So we may want to have him on less minutes on games where the team isn't as big. And that kind of is what happened last night. That's kind of what happened. Keep on going with the stars. My next star of the game is the chain bearer. Jacoby Walter is my 5th star of the game. Off the bench, he, like I said earlier, he did a little bit of everything to help this team. 21 minutes for Jacoby, 18 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 8 of 9 at the free throw line. This is a stat that I'm impressed with. And Darko was asked after the game about Jacoby getting so many free throw shots. He was aggressive and he was going to the basket, and that's why he got rewarded. This is a little bit of an anomaly because Jacoby doesn't normally get the respect to get to the line this many times. And well, like I said, ref report undefeated. We saw a very, very on top of it ref crew that was absolutely fantastic. Carl Lane and Danielle Scott and who was the third one last night? It was Nate Green. Those guys were awesome. They were awesome. In fact, there was one point in the game where uh, Carl Lane was talking to Darko, and they had big smiles on their faces, like they were laughing together. And it was about a technical that was just called on the Bulls, by the way. And then we saw at the same moment on the other side of the court, Nate Green and Billy Donovan yelling at each other. So you got Darko smiling with Carl Lane, Star Wars lover, and then you got Nate Green and Billy Donovan like yelling at each other at the other end. It's always that says it all right there. I don't feel like they were unfairly predisposed to the Raptors. I just think once again, like the Tyler Ford ref game the other day, we had a ref crew that does it down the line. And this is what it looks like when the ref is down the line. This is what it looks like. You know, the refs didn't get in the way from us blowing them out and putting a big 30, 25 point lead on them the whole game. Some crews will come and manipulate with such a huge deficit just to make the score look better or try and help the other team by calling overly with fouls and putting them on the line a lot to help them get more points, supplemental. They make calls to hold us down. Like, one of the calls that happened the other day is like, this is a call that I hate, and this has been a ref manipulation in the last 10 years, is the 24 shot clock violation, stop the ball. In the past, they didn't do this with the 24 shot clock violation. If a team got held up by a good defense to have a shot clock violation, they don't whistle it and make it go to the side. They just let the ball play into a fast break. And well, this is a devious ref manipulation. We saw it in the 905 game, the last game against Motor City Cruise. They did it. And well, that's annoying. But the refs didn't do any of this kind of stuff. They didn't try and hold the Raptors down or keep the game close. They will do this sometimes. Sometimes the NBA wants the games to closer so they're more competitive and the entertainment's better. But Carl Lane and them didn't have that agenda. They just played a clean, straight up refereeing game, and they allowed us to have this huge lead without artificially supplementing the Bulls to be closer to us. Does that make sense? Because this happens in games. You see it all the time. And in fact, it happens in favor of us too. We could be losing by 30, and all of a sudden the refs are giving us all the calls, and they want it to make it more like lose by 15 or 20 instead. So yeah, Jacoby Walter, fantastic job. 8 and 9 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, 1 block. That block that Trevor was talking about, and a plus 20. Yeah, he's a fun kid, man. In some ways, I'm really liking Jacoby more and more. I've always liked him, but I like him even more because the early signs of him as a rookie was that he was an old soul, that he was a fundamentally old school kind of throwback kid who really does things exactly right, and that is why he's doing so well. Is because he pays attention to the fundamentals. He pays attention to how to do it right, and he's built in a way and trained in a way that he does it right, and it pays off. There's guys on our team that are like this. Jacoby and Emmanuel are the first two that come to mind. That just do everything right, and that's why it translates on the court to high fundamentals and high outcomes that are positive and good in the right way. So yeah, good job, Jacoby. You got the chain for the third time this year. This is the third time this year that Jacoby Walter has worn the chain after the game. Fantastic. I am going to do 2 more stars and go in and get 7 today. Sandro Mamu for beating the mascot before the game. You are the 6th star. Just kidding. 22 minutes for Sandro, 17 points on 5 of 8 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, a +2. I mean, how many guys on our team had like 5 or more 4 or more assists? Shed had 5 assists. Emmanuel got 7. Sandro got 5. Brandon got 4. You got all kinds of guys getting assists all over the place. And there was that fantastic play where Jacoby got the block, and then Sandro ran back it down the other end and threw it down a hammer, a Georgian hammer thrown down in that whole play sequence. That was a whole lot of fun there. But yeah, Sandro's having fun out there. I think the popcorn incident and the beating of the mascot before the game are signs that Sandro is living his best life. And he's just a menace in some ways, I guess. He's a menace in some ways. But man, Mamukelashvili, you're awesome. One of the fun things this season with Sandro has been trying to hear the opposing teams say his name all year long. And they really say crazy versions of his name. Like the Bulls announcer last night was calling him Mamuk Kelishvili. Kelevili or something like that. It's like, man, I understand. I remember how hard his name was until I learned it. And before I was he was on our team, I used to kind of say his name incorrectly all the time. I apologize, Sandro, for any time in my old streams before you came here when you were on the Bucks or on the Spurs, when I mispronounced your name and said it like Mama Luke. I apologize. In some ways, I was disrespecting you because you were op, but also at the same time, I did not know you were such an amazing person and fun guy. And I'm glad you're a Raptor this year. And I will never ever say your name incorrectly ever again. Sandro Mamukelashvili. There you go. And I don't know. These other announcers need to get it right. They're not doing it right in a lot of places. Let's just put it that way. All right. And my last star is going to be Emmanuel. I wanted to recognize all 7 of the guys who got double digits in the game last night. And Emmanuel's the last guy who got double digits. Some ways, Emmanuel's been getting piled on by some people in Raptors Nation. I don't know why. We're winning. And he's not doing anything wrong. And people are being stupid when they're getting nitpicky and they get out their science lab microscopes. They want to put Manuel quickly on the petri dish and look at him underneath a microscope with his game. I mean, you don't need to do that. The one thing you need to look at is the big, huge W that's sitting in the classroom in the science lab. That's the only thing you need to look at. You don't need to go look at the Manuel quickly that closely like that. But we'll go over his stat line real quick. 26 minutes, 10 points, 4-11 shooting. See, that's way better than the last game. And some people say, oh, he's still shooting bad. Who cares? I'm going to give Emmanuel a pass. Seriously. And every single time somebody starts talking about Emmanuel shooting or he's not playing well, I'm going to say, shut up. Because you know what? As a point guard on a good team, you don't always have to be good offensively. As long as you're getting your rest of your teammates going and they're playing really well, you're in some ways the supplemental. And he had really good shots he made. He made a couple of key, very good threes, 2 for 5 from three-point land. And he did have some very interesting runners and little stuff that he did near the basket, 2 shots there too. So it's like, come on. The dude was solid. And I'll tell you why he was solid. 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 0 turnovers. And I don't want to piggyback Shed onto quickly here because he had no turnovers too. So you had the 2 point guards, Shed and Quick Shed, come cumulatively 12 assists, 0 turnovers between the 2 of them. That's amazing. That's what do we want from them? Shed didn't score. I get it. He didn't take a single shot, but he got 5 of 0 for his assist to turnover ratio. And Emmanuel got 7 of 0. So nobody should be complaining. If you guys want to know how to gauge whether Emmanuel's playing well, go look at that stat right there. That's the one. And his turnovers may be the most important thing y'all need to look at and whether Emmanuel quickly is playing well or not. If he has 0 turnovers, he didn't do anything wrong, even if he missed shots. Look, he's going to miss shots from time to time. He's taking very crazy, deep shots, and some of the shots he's takes sometimes are not the easiest shots. He's a high-level scorer that takes some of the hardest shots out of all the Raptors. So it's natural for Emmanuel quickly to not have the best shooting percentage some nights. Once again, the stat you need to look at for Emmanuel is his assist to turnover ratio. And if he has 0 turnovers, you shouldn't be complaining. Okay? I'll just say that right there. He also had 2 steals. So look at that. He didn't turn the ball over, and he got us 2 extra possessions by getting steals. So what the fuck is wrong with y'all who were coming at IQ this last week because he shot 1 for 12 against the Pistons, and he shot 4 for 11 last night? Just shut the fuck up. Either you ride with our team or not. And if you're not calling 5 to say thank you, and you're trying to rat him out and get mad at him, don't call 5 at all, is what I say right there. Yeah, he was a plus 24, so he must have done something right? Honorable mention to Shed, as I said already, 18 minutes, 0 points. He didn't take a single shot. And I think he was miffed at Darko when he took him out in the 4th quarter because he wanted to score. And I think he was mad. He's like, oh, man, I didn't score at all. You took me out before I could score. Well, it's a weird route. And in some ways, I was telling them in the Discord, yeah, he'll probably play the starters until 8 minutes to go, and then he'll take them all out then. That's kind of the safe period for him to do it. He wouldn't put the bench in right away at the beginning of the fourth quarter because a whole quarter can change things. You want to establish the quarter with your excellence of your starters who got you there, at least for the first few minutes. And that's what he did. And I was exactly right. I was like, yeah, don't expect the bench right away. Grady, Trace, and Jonathan right at 12 minutes to go in the fourth. They're going to play a little bit of the fourth, establish that the team is still dominant in that quarter, and then they'll let the end of the bench run for like 8 minutes of the rest of the quarter. And that's what happened. But Shed wasn't ready to come out then. He didn't want to come out because he hadn't scored yet. And he was a little miffed, I think, that he had to come out at that point. 1 rebound, 5 assists, 0 turnovers, a plus 20 for Jamal. I'm not hating this. I'm not mad at this. A casual will look at this stat line and be like, "You didn't score. You sucks." A nephew would be like, "He sucks. He doesn't score." Scoring is not everything, you motherfuckers. It's a team effort, and you got to do all the different jobs on an NBA team to win. And Shed was out there getting assists without turnovers once again, and that is the point guard's job. That's the point guard's job right there. Yeah, let me go ahead and go over the rest of the guys. Trace got in for 5 minutes. He was the last guy to get in. And in some ways, it was like, man, is he going to play Trace or not? I don't know. But yeah, he got in for 5 minutes. He made one basket. He only took one shot, one rebound, a -5. Jamison Battle got a lot of time. In fact, he was out there with the starters at times. And I love that. In fact, this is still something I feel like we need to discover more about because there's so much attention drawn to Brandon and RJ and Scotty that it's obvious that Jamison Battle should be getting all kinds of good, easy 3-point opportunities. But I still feel like Darko in his systems is not feeding Battle or Dick correctly to get their shots correctly. There was a really nice three he hit, though, in that whole system with the barbecue guys, and it was fantastic. And that was a sign to me. It's like, okay, go in that direction, Raptors. Start designing these plays, coaching staff, and figure out how to get Jamison Battle really good open three looks with the premium starters out there because he can feast if you guys game plan this right. He really can. Yeah, Jamison, 22 minutes, 6 points, 2 of 6 from the field, 2 of 4 from three, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, a -2. Jonathan Mobo got in early and then got in late. 7 minutes, 1 point. He missed a free throw and made a free throw. 4 rebounds for Jonathan, 1 turnover, a -6. Jonathan's just a good utility big, a good guy who's good on defense and rebounding. And well, in some ways, that's very useful in this league. A big guy who can run up and down the court fast and play pretty good low post defense or even outside defense, a lot like Scotty. Garrett Temple got out there and got his minutes, got his appearance. And, I was really thinking about Garrett on a deeper level. It's like, it is really amazing that Garrett Temple is still playing in this league at his age. And the way you see him out there running around with the youngsters in the garbage time, it makes you realize, man, this guy keeps himself in physical shape. That's one of the things he said. I wouldn't keep coming back if I wasn't doing the job to be a professional NBA player, because if I'm not good enough athletically, I should hang it up. And I know a lot of people say he should hang it up and go away. We don't need to waste a roster spot on him. That's bullshit. Because once again, the intangibles of what he gives our team are on a level where he doesn't even have to play, and he's adding to our team in so many different ways. He is a latent bonus for our team in all kinds of ways. And it's fun to see him get out there and mix it up. And when he hits the floor to go after a loose ball, that is the teaching stuff for those youngsters. Look, there is almost 40-year-old Garrett Temple getting on the ground, rolling after a loose ball. Yeah, you can't complain, Jacoby, or any of y'all about having to go do that because the old man's doing it. And there ain't that's awesome, man. He's such a good role model. 7 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 3 shooting, missed both his threes, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, a -6. It's leadership. It's politicking. This is a guy who is involved in the labor union. This is a guy who knows half the league because he's played with them or he's been coached by them. He knows the referees so well because he's known the referees for decades. So what is not good about having Garrett Temple on this team? He is such a bonus. In some ways, he politics and he gets us favor with referees and he knows people on other teams. So if there is issues with other teams, he can be bridging the gap in peace. So there's all kinds of benefits, and it's no joke that he has been on Darko's team all the time since Darko's been the coach of the Toronto Raptors. There's a reason for that, Raptors fans, and understand that. This may very well be his last season. I don't know. It's tough. Every year it gets tougher for him to come back. But if he does the work and the Raptors are willing to have him back, don't get upset if he does come back next year. Because honestly, at this point, Garrett Temple is our Udonis Haslem, okay? And you need to respect that because he is a really, really good person for Udonis Haslem. In fact, him having his head straight, being a good family man, dressing to a T, being that prototype professional NBA player is such a good role model for all the young people on our team, especially since our team is so young. In some ways, Jacoby Walter is a better NBA player for Garrett Temple. You can ask him that. He'd tell you it's true. You can ask him that. He would tell you it's true. That's right. Grady Dick got in for an extended run late in the fourth quarter, and he looked horrible again. Grady, man, why are you missing your threes so badly, man? Like, what is going on here, man? Like, wide open and Brick City, bro. It's like at the beginning of the game, I was going to make a joke that the Chicago Bulls are building a brick oven for cooking Chicago pizza in because they were bricking so much. Well, and then late in the game, Grady was the guy bricking all over the place. 10 minutes for Grady, 7 points on 3 of 7 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, and 1 steal, a -6. Yeah, it's just tough, man. It's like this was a game where Grady could have really built off of the excellence that he's had recently, but he had a dud. He had a dud last night. And man, I wish he'd made those open shots he got. In some ways, it's stupid that he didn't. Honestly, it's stupid that he didn't because it's like it just shows like you are not like you were last year because you were starting and you were playing against starter talent and you were hitting huge pressurized threes with worse defensive coverage. Now you're playing against the end of the bench for the Bulls and you can't hit an open three when they're giving you wide open. You're hitting the back of the iron and bricking. Like, what's going on, Grady? What the fuck happened to your shot this year, man? And it's like, maybe he came in, he was a little too aggressive. He's like, man, this is my chance to get a lot of points because I'm going to get an extended run of garbage time now. And maybe he's too eager, too aggressive, and it screwed him up and it screwed his shot up. You got to, man, I don't know what it is. Either way, Grady Dick, let's get your career back on track. I'm rooting for you, man. Seriously. The other side, as Trevor J pointed out after the game, not a single one of the Chicago Bulls scored over 20 points. None of them. The highest was Buzelis. He got 19. And we really tied him up good. He was 6 for 15, and he had 2 turnovers. So it's like we really did a good job on the Bulls, and whether it was Giddey or Buzelis. Giddey, 4 for 13 from the field. He was 1 of 8 from 3. And you could tell we were annoying him. We had different kinds of defenders guarding him at different times. We had bigs guarding him. We had smalls guarding him. And everybody was guarding him in different techniques, and it was effective. And Giddey was not able to do all the things that he does to help the Bulls. Donovan was saying after the game that he wants to challenge Josh Giddey to read the game better, to understand because he's an all-around talent, which department he should be doing to help the Bulls, to help them win, whether it's rebounding, whether it's assists, whether it's scoring. And he's putting the challenge to Josh Giddey to read the game better, to be able to provide the things that are needed. Because look, man, this guy didn't get a single rebound. We must have done something good. Josh Giddey is sometimes a real rebounding annoyance. And he also only had 3 assists with 3 turnovers. So not only we cut the water off him for shooting, we cut the water off him for rebounding and for assists. So we did something right there, right? We did something right. It was fun to see Yuki late. Yuki's fun. Rob Dillingham is an interesting player. He's starting to come around on the Bulls a little bit more with the opportunity to play because he really didn't get the chance to play at the other places he was at before. So, yeah, interesting stuff from the Bulls. We kicked their butt. Also nice to see Canadian Leonard Miller get the start. 13 points for him on 6 of 9 shooting with 4 rebounds. Yeah, Miller is another player that I would love to see in a Raptors jersey sometime later in his career. We could see what happens with him. Scarborough's Leonard Miller. Going over the team stats real quick, the Raptors were scorching, 57% from the field. Really, really good. We made 14 threes to their 9, which is really, really good when we make more threes than the other team. That's rare. Let's just put it that way. We shot 88% at the free throw line, which is fantastic. They shot 71%. We got way more free throw attempts. We got 5 more. Like I said, I told you those refs are going to be awesome. Carl Lane's just a joy. Really, really good ref. He did call some stuff against us. Danielle Scott called something against us. Jakob got mad at her. Scotty got a little mad at Nate Green at one point. But it's like, y'all, these people are being really good refs. They're calling right down the middle, and we're up by 25. Stop yelling at the refs. There's no reason to yell at Danielle Scott, Jakob Pertl. No reason to do that, man. No reason to do that. We did out rebound them 43-36, which is fantastic. Assist to turnover ratio 33 assists for the Raptors with 18 turnovers. So not exactly 2-1, but having 33 assists is a sign of a very healthy offensive ecosystem where a lot of people are going every which way. It's kind of what I was alluding to earlier with the different people having at least 4 assists on the Raptors roster. 24-19 was the assist to turnover ratio for the Bulls as a team. So a lot closer with them. Fast break points, they beat us in that category, actually, which is interesting. And we just barely beat them in the points in the paint by 2, 60-58. Yeah, really, really well played game. The reason why I like this game so much is because, once again, this is a team that's not as good as us. We could easily play down to their level, but we held our excellence of level and we stayed at that level and we didn't stoop to theirs. And that was a big part of it. That was a big, big part of the win right there. That's right. Fiercey's here. Good morning to MJ. Good morning, fam. Happy Thursday. Yesterday was predictable, but not to that extent. Kudos to the starting 5 who were all in double digits. Yeah, it's fantastic and good balance. And we had a really good bench scoring yesterday, too, on top of that. I think that we had some of the stats were saying that this was some of the most points that the bench has scored in a game this season for the Raptors was in the game last night. Seymour saying Jokic has struggled against smaller, finest players of late. When you try and overpower him, he slicks his way around them. I'm confident we will melt them, the Nuggets. They asked Darko about this last night. I think it was Doug Smith after the game about Nikola and the possibility of having Murray-Boyles for the game on Friday. That Darko would love to employ 2 different looks against Nikola by using Murray-Boyles healthy and Jakob. And that hopefully Colin may be playing against Denver on Friday. Is kind of what it made it sound like when he was talking about this. I mean, why are you talking about Colin playing Nikola so much right now unless you are actually trying to make that happen? So who knows? There could be a lot of good news tomorrow about Murray-Boyles and his thumb, and he may be back in the lineup, number 12, to go up against big Nikola Jokic. So, yeah, that's what we're hoping here, and that may be exactly what you're talking about right there, Seymour Pate, is get Nikola back because Darko understands what you just said, and he wants to utilize it. One of the things that we did so well against the Bulls last night was maximize mismatches. And in some ways, the Raptors are finally doing stuff that I wish they'd been doing for years, going way back into Nick Nurse time, where they recognize mismatches and they go and just aggressively at them and take care of them and use them against, the Bulls announcers are talking about how the Raptors are so quick to get down the floor. And if the Bulls defense doesn't find the right people and they get mismatched, the Raptors are quick to capitalize on it by getting the ball to that person. And all of a sudden you got like RJ posting on Yuki or something like that. There was a lot of that going on in the game where very high level reading and execution of going against the mismatches and using them for the Raptors game. There was a lot of that last night. Smooth saying this, Golden State is falling apart. Wow. Golden State? Yeah, well, whatever. I don't care. Steph's been out for a little while and Draymond is washed. So what are they going to do, right? What are they going to do? I don't care about the Warriors. In some ways, it's like we swept them this year, right? I think we did. Trevor's saying Memphis' defense was on Jokic to stop him last night, and it works. The weird thing to me is Memphis is missing their big man. Zach Edey's done for the season. He's gone. Santi Aldama is gone and done for the season. I know because they're on my fantasy teams, and I've had to drop both of them after having them all year. I really didn't get any payoff on Zach Edey this year, fantasy wise. And Aldama was good in the beginning of the season, but he's been way hurt in the second half of the season. And now they're both just gone for the season. So how did they do this? Who the hell was playing him? That's what I'm wondering, man. Who was hell that was playing him? Jeez, it's crazy. Nako's saying, Lex, your celebrity look-like is Ron Perlman. Oh my gosh, I've gone to Ron Perlman. See, when I was younger, Nako, I had long blonde hair. I was more like Charlie, not Ron Perlman. If we're talking Sons of Anarchy, well, that does it. I'm shaving the beard today because obviously I'm starting to look like a beast from Beauty and the Beast. I ain't about being the lion man. I'm sorry. Do not go your comment. I was on the fence because it's getting a little itchy and it's bugging me, and I'm just kind of messing with it anyway. I'm gonna shave it. I'm gonna do it after my stream because you said that. I do not want to look like Ron Perlman. Let's just put it that way. I do not want to look like Hellboy. All right, let's keep going. Seymour's saying this: a blown head gasket for the Pistons. Yeah, that's no good. A lung, a blown piston in the engine. I guess that would be apropos to it. Like the engine's the lungs or something like that, and a piston is something that would blow in the engine. So collapsed lung. I don't know how to do this. Either way, we wish Cade well. I don't like hearing this news, and we do play the Pistons one more time coming up. So, well, maybe if he's out when we play them again, it'll be good. I don't know. I don't know, man. Seymour saying, I never had any faith in the Pistons who are swimming in new territory this season. I got the Raptors in 6. Raptors in 6? You mean like if we played them in the playoffs? Yeah, that'd be a good series, man. That'd be a really good series. I don't think Detroit would want to play us in the first round if that is way things lined up. Yeah, I don't think they'd want to play us. Nako's saying fully healthy Pacers are the best team in the East. Now, once again, you can't say this. You know, you can go by the finals last year, but there's so much they have to recapture to get back to that. It's not like a team can have a really bad season like this year and they just instantly come back next year and they're back at the top just because of Tyrese Halliburton. Come on, man. Halliburton's not that good, man. I think he's overrated. I think that he's a streak shooter. And any team that is relying on their streak shooter to be their best player, well, they're going to be up and down. In fact, this is kind of like when Reggie was their guy. Reggie Miller. When Reggie Miller was a franchise player of the Pacers, you know, he could be very consistently very tough, but if he didn't have it, they were sunk. And when you make your franchise player a streak shooter, and that's what Tyrese is, he's a streak shooter. You live and die with the streaks. That's not good for consistent winning. That's why Siakam's more important to that team in some ways, because he's going to give you a consistent effort every single night you can depend on. With Tyrese Halliburton, he could shoot 4 for 25 on a certain night and absolutely sink you for the game. So I'm going to completely disagree with you. Once again, you sink so low to be the last team in the Eastern Conference. You don't instantly rise back up next year just because Halliburton comes back. No, they are missing more than just Halliburton. They're missing Turner, and they're not as good of a team as they were when they went to the finals. So you can't say this. It's not true. When they come back next year, watch. They're going to be a play-in team next year. They won't be a playoff team even. They're going to be a play-in team next year. You mark my words, Nako, when what I said just now. And remember that I said it. While this season's still going on, that I'm already predicting that the Pacers next year will be in the play-in. They will not be out of the playoffs. They will not be in the playoffs. They will be in the play-in. They will be a play-in team next year, and they will not be one of the top 6 in the East. Put a pin in that. Mark that down. That's right. Good game, Sam. Maybe it's good luck for Mamu because he had a great game to beat the mascot. Is this going to just have to be a thing now? Is he the new Robin Lopez? Because I think Robin Lopez retired, right? So there's no goofy guy that beats up the mascots around the league right now. That job is open. There's the vacancy. Sandro, do you want to be the new European guy that beats I guess Robin Lopez wasn't European. You want to be the new big center guy that's going to beat up the mascots around the league? That's a fun job. Although, does this world need more violence, Sandro? Even fake, cartoonish mascot violence? Maybe that's not the right message. Maybe, but you could do fun little skits with the mascots at least, like Robin used to, right? It'd be fun. I'll be into it. I'll be into it. Medved Ted's here. Good morning, Medved Ted. Good Raptor freak. How you doing, my guy? Darko said in Serbian, I'm enjoying these moments. Last year, we weren't playing competitive games and we weren't in the race for playing or playoffs. I love that. So you just translated what he said in Serbian. Are you Serbian? Is that why you knew it? That's awesome, Medved. I love that, man. I love that. I appreciate you coming in to say that because there's no subtitles. I don't know what he said. I did hear him talk about Jokic in Serbian. And a couple of words I can understand, like basketball terms. He's talking in Serbian, and then he says close out. Oh, I know that part. He said close out. But I appreciate your deciphering of what he said here. So he's saying, I'm enjoying these moments. Last year, we weren't playing competitive games and weren't in the race or play in or playoffs. Yeah. Yeah, this is night and day. And it's very different from the first two seasons of Darko. And well, he's earned it. We built up to this. And now, they've got to go and execute and do the best that they can. And well, mess around. Maybe you still get home court in the playoffs somehow, some way, up to fourth. That's right. It's still possible. Cavaliers are only 2.5 games above us, and we have 14 games to go. So, yeah, that's still possible. Medved saying also, he said, now we're competing to secure a spot in the playoffs, so every game is important. I'm excited because we get to compete in the playoffs. I think this team is highly motivated. I love it, man. Thanks for the translation. If this is going to happen in the future where Darko's doing more interviews in Serbian, can you be our official translator, please? I'd appreciate that. You might become known as the translator if that is going to be. You want a Raptor Freak nickname? The translator. Medved Ted. That's right. That's right. The diplomat. I'll call him the diplomat or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Stargate saying, Lex, is Mugarbe still a member of this chat? I hope it wasn't Raptor Freak family Mugarbe and it was a different Mugarbe who made a snide remark about the Raptors in NBA Chev's comment section. Well, I don't know. How common is Mugarbe's name? It could be Mugarbe. Either way, I don't care. In some ways, if he's in Chev's world, he can say whatever he wants in that forum, even if he's being derisive. If he comes here, he knows how he has to behave, though. If he's here, I mean, I love Mugarbe. If it is Mugarbe out west with Seymour, out in the Western Canada, we wish him well. And even if he wrote some crazy comment on Chev's thing, that's that audience. And in some ways, if they participate in that, they do that. But if you want to call him out in that audience as Stargate and say, yo, bro, you're a Raptor Freak. What are you doing? Why are you talking this crazy mess? Go ahead and do it. You could even ask them straight up and say, yo, are you Mugarbe from Raptors Freaks? Why are you doing this, bro? Either way, if you showed up and did that here, you know what the response would be. But it's a free world, right? I hope still. And, if Mugarbe wants to say stuff like that on shows, we let him do that. Sometimes, I know that you like to engage and you like to set the record straight. And I love you for that. I love that you are a man of justice and you want right. But some of the battles aren't worth picking. And if there's a Mugarbe there, whether it's him or not, let him be. Let him be. Let them be in their ignorance or something like that. Maybe come in and say, hey, here's a link. Go watch this channel. Oh, I know this channel. I'm Mugarbe. You know me. Oh, yeah, you are Mugarbe. Okay. Well, I'm disappointed in you then. I don't know, man. Either way, if he comes in here with that, we know what happens. That's what we'll just say that. G's saying for a collapsed lung, mid-mild cases, 2 to 4 weeks, moderate, 4 to 8 weeks, severe. Longer but healthy athletes typically are quicker. Safe to say minimum 4 weeks. Okay, so we do play the Pistons before the end of this month. So we're going to probably be not seeing Cade is what we're saying here. So thank you, Dr. G, on your prognosis and the timeline of what we could see. So it's probably going to be about a month. So maybe this will line up really nice for the Pistons to get them back in time for the playoffs. And that's good. That's good. Maybe it'll be actually a blessing in disguise that, they kind of talked about this with Colin, with Darko. Saying, hey, Darko, don't you like to look for blessings in disguise? Yes, I like the silver linings of things. And, Colin being out recently has been a silver lining that he gets to watch more. And also they brought up the point that, Colin's a rookie and he could have been kind of hitting his rookie wall physically recently. So in a blessing disguise is the thumb injury. So he's actually getting rest. And in some ways, also sitting on the bench and watching the team do stuff and understanding it from that perspective can be very informative, especially to a very intellectually smart basketball mind like Colin Murray-Boyles about what to do when he does get healthy and get back on the court and how he can make a better difference for the Raptors. This is a similar thing when Scotty had to sit at times in recent years. He's sitting as a student on the bench with vets and asking questions and getting more of an understanding. While they're not in the game, they're still learning. So silver lining may be that Cade Cunningham is out and resting his body, and he'll come back right in time to get in the right shape and be really fresh for the playoffs. So, there may be a silver lining there for Detroit Pistons fans. We'll have to see. But yeah, thank you for the information, G. And I'm gonna go ahead and give you a dunk for going and finding that research on collapsed lung timelines. And you got that Morris Peterson 24. G, there you go, man. Iron Man. That's right. Trevor's saying first time Darko didn't have to call a timeout in this game. Did he call a single timeout in this game? You don't think he did? I thought he did. He did call some timeouts. What are you talking about? He didn't have to. I guess you're right. He didn't have to, but he did. He called timeouts at times. I'm pretty sure he did. I don't remember that happening that way. Shaq Lindsay saying Scotty's game is similar to Chris Webber. Hey, that's your comparison? Hey. He shoots better than Chris Webber outside. He shoots better than Chris Webber outside. I think he's also a better defensive player than Chris Webber. I think he's a better defensive player than Chris Webber. You know what? Chris Webber's game was really just he was like a mini Shaq, is what I look at him like. Like Chris Webber was very much a power game where he used a lot of like post up with muscle and like just bumping into guys and making room and going up strong. That was Chris Webber's main moves, right? He's much more limited than Scott. Like I in some ways, comparing Scotty to Chris Webber is like comparing Scotty to Draymond Green to me. You're limiting Scott. Scott is on a whole other level than both those guys. Chris Webber is a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a really powerful player, but he was a dominant player like Shaq. And in some ways, he was very one trick pony. There wasn't a whole fleshed out game to him. Sure, he could block shots. He could do some of this and that, but not like Scotty. I don't see this. I don't see this. I think that this is below who Scotty is. You got to understand there's an element to Scott that is Giannis. There's an element to Scott that is Kawhi. And Chris Webber don't have no Giannis and that stuff. I don't even remember Webber being like he did get fast break dunks, but he was never like a fast break guy where he was like had the ball in his hands and he was trying to give it to other people. I don't think. Maybe I'm completely forgetting Chris Webber in his career. But from what I remember, I just remember a mini Shaq powerful guy who did a lot of muscling power moves in his game. There wasn't a lot of finesse and there wasn't a lot of outside shooting. That's the other thing. We got to remember the old NBA was very uh, fragmented. You had a certain role and a certain job in a certain area that you worked in, and it wasn't expected of you to play an all-around game. And Chris Webber could be that power forward, maybe sometimes center, that was just basically playing a low post power game. And that the NBA had that going on at that time. In some ways, Chris Webber in this league, he may not do well just because of him not being a totally good outside shooter. You know, it's an interesting comparison. I've never heard it before, and I wanted to analyze it and kind of think about it in my head. Man, he's always been like a mini Shaq to me, Chris Webber, a mini Shaq kind of player. Just really put the ball on the floor and bump and get up and get right at the rim kind of player. G's saying Scotty's mid range will become more consistent because the fundamentals and shot now look the same each time. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say earlier. Higher release. I think Ingram has been helping him. Oh, for sure. I think you can tell that Ingram's helping Scotty because of the rotation on his mid range. You see the really great rotation that Ingram has, and just how he flips it with his wrist, and you get that really nice spin, and boom, right in. We saw RJ get a 4 bounce last night. That was fun where it bounced up, and then fell in, kind of like Kawhi's shot. But yeah, definitely Scotty has more spin on his rotation and these turnaround mid-range shots he's doing right now. The spin is very tight and quick and going right into the middle. Yeah, I could see this. I think this is exactly right that Brandon has been helping him. Stargate saying this. How did Cade get that? That's weird. I usually see this with people in accidents or fights, some sort of serious physical trauma. What happened? Wish him a speedy recovery. I don't know. I mean, maybe just the taxing, running up and down with your lungs. Can that happen to it? Maybe he got hit while he was trying to drive the basket and somebody knocked the wind out of him and that collapsed his lung. That could be the way it happened, right? I don't know. It's interesting though, because this isn't a common basketball injury, right? It really isn't. Really, really isn't. Raptors champs is in the house. Good morning, Raptors freaks and champs. Raptors synergy is on fire. Yeah, yeah, this is so true. Let's go, Raptors champs. Good to see you this morning. Yeah, I like the synergy. I like the ball movement. I like the teamwork. I like the camaraderie. I like the vibes. I like it all. I like it all. That's right. G saying at Stargate, they didn't specify from what I saw, but could have been hit spontaneous, even in healthy people, or an underlying irritation or micro tears in lung tissue over time. Yeah, it seems like a scary thing to have is your lung collapses. It just seems like a scary thing to happen to you, you know? Oh, Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph Phillips. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Be sure your sin will find you out. What? What happened in darkness will come to light. So live each moment morally, ethically, and with good integrity. I like that. I like that. I want the people that are doing bad things in this world to see justice. There's all kinds of different levels of bad things. And there's some people that are doing things on such a huge, massive scale of bad things that, to have faith in this world and that right will win and the goodness and justice will happen. In some ways, we're worried. There really does need to be a correction after this whole mess of MAGA in the United States. There needs to be huge corrections and retractions and changing back to some of the things that the way they were. Like some of the entities in the US government need to be reestablished. And they, of course, are going to change the names of a whole bunch of things like the Gulf of Mexico and the Kennedy Center and the Defense Department. You got to switch all that shit back from the stupid ass cartoon mega world. Yeah. Man, I hope that you're right. I want to believe this is right. I have faith in God that, the wrath of God or the judgment of God or whatever you want to call it will come through and get the pedophiles, get the rapists, get fucking Donald Trump for his crimes because his crimes are numerous and they are over decades and decades of his life. So it's this point, he's gotten away with everything and gone all the way to the top and been allowed to be the leader of the United States, which is absolutely reprehensible considering he is absolutely a criminal. And well, that's the lightning rod of me right now in this world. I'm not going to judge anybody else for doing anything morally wrong as long as this dude is getting away with it. Like seriously, he's doing the most massive crimes against humanity and everybody around the world right now, raising prices of oil around the world, raising grocery prices, throwing innocent children into cages. He's reprehensible and he's the worst. He's the epitome of it. And in some ways, we need the role model and standard to show that this, if you like this is what happens to you. But until that happens, in some ways, I don't fault anybody for saying, well, this is a dumb criminal world now and nothing matters. It's like, why should any of us care about paying our taxes or doing anything correctly if things aren't done correctly with our leadership that's above us? So it's tough, man. I'm not going to get moralistic towards little people or people that are just struggling. If you need to steal something from the grocery store to feed your baby, I'm not judging you and I'm looking the other way. So it's a weird thing, ethics right now, because some people that are in power want to enforce their ethics on everybody else, but they're not following their own ethics. So why the hell should we listen to them? At what point does the law become ignore the law because nobody cares about the law? Because it's obvious nobody in charge cares about the law. I mean, that's the standard that y'all set. This is what's called leadership. And y'all are supposed to lead the world. Well, if you're leading the world like a mafia boss and making all the rules and breaking all the rules yourself, then why should anybody else be considered to follow the rules? That's my opinion on this. Like, seriously. If our tax money is not going towards things that we want, Doug Ford, you're going to destroy Ontario Place and you're not going to consult anybody, why should any of us pay taxes if we don't have representation? So, yeah, this is a deep one right here, Randolph. In some ways, ethics and what you do and what you don't, that's by the eye of the beholder. And am I going to go by an old text called the Bible to go by ethics and morality and stuff like that? In some ways, that's outdated. And it's not really apropos to the modern day that we live in right now. So it's really like the standard of morals and ethics are set by the leaders. And if the leaders are morally devoid and don't have any ethics, well, our society's in trouble because it'll go all the way down because they're the leaders. They set the tone. And when you have corrupt mafioso type leaders, well, it's not the best standard to set. So blessings to Phillips family, all the Rapper Freak families. I really hope they do get found out and taken to justice for killing and raping young women, Mar-a-Lago and Epstein's Island, and burying them in the yard. They need to face justice. And if the U.S. Department of Justice is just going to protect them, hide all this shit, foreign entities may have to figure it out in The Hague and other places and put some war crime charges on uh, Netanyahu and Trump for the Iran war, along with pedophile charges on Trump for Epstein's Island. He's a pedophile. It's the truth. He's a pedophile. Look at the way he talked about his daughter and the grossness about that. Just connect all the dots. Hello. Are you stupid? Of course he fucks 13-year-olds. Are you dumb? You don't think that his fuck 13-year-old girls and how gross that just sounded, what I just said? Of course he has. And he may still be doing it because he can get away with it because he has all this time. And that's the thing, man. We want to get this reckoning of the darkness. You got to start at the top. That's what I'll say right now. Raptors Champs is saying, I have a lot of confidence in RJ Barrett when he takes the three. Me too. When he gets that little nice set shot, he puts his hand underneath it a certain way. And yeah, he pushes it. I guess I should do it with the left, right? Smooth saying Shaq Lindsay, Chris Webber, eh? Chris Webber, yeah, that's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that one yet. Let's see. Randolph saying this: Our prayers go up to the Lord for Cade. Lord, please bless Cade Cunningham with a clean bill of health and a speedy recovery. May the physicians use godly care in helping him heal. In Jesus' name, Amen. Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. You know, my prayer is saying protect all the players in the league. I'm not just selfishly saying for the Raptors. I say all the players in the league, protect their health, protect them from injury, protect them from harm. I'm with you on that. Yeah. Yeah. Raptors champ saying Dick is really struggling with that three, but he did get one in. Shed made some good fit passes. He never took a shot, which is okay. It wasn't necessary. Yeah. This is all pretty good assessment of those two players. I'm not mad at you, Shed. I know that casuals and nephews will come at you today, but we're astute here and we understand basketball. If 5 assists with 0 turnovers and you didn't take a single shot, well, we can't get mad at you for missing a shot, right? Because you didn't shoot one. And Grady, listen, he did hit 1 3, but it was like the last one he took, and it was just like a relief three. And we're like, finally, after clanking 3 before that, clanking 3. Okay, so Fiercey's saying she's officially in. She got the email for the fantasy draft. Count me in. We're going to do the fantasy draft on a Sunday morning on the show live, like we always do. And it'll be between when the Raptors season ends and the WNBA season will start. So it's going to be one of those Sundays near the end of April that we will do our WNBA fantasy draft live on this channel. And it'll be after the dust settles with the tempo picking up all their players in the next month. So, yeah, I'm so happy that Fiercey's in. Isaac's got RJ on blast. I love that. Kesper is saying Mamu went Robin Lopez against one of the mascots last night. Yeah, that was hilarious, man. That was so funny. I'm watching it on League Pass, right? And I saw the feed when it happened before the game. And I'm like, what is going on here? Benny the Bull got Jacoby and he's doing this. I saw the whole thing happen live and I was like laughing so hard about it. I was like, that was awesome. I'm glad I saw that. I know the last time we went to Chicago, they had Jacoby and Shed and they were playing like chess or something. They were playing some sort of board game with them. So Jacoby is apt to interact with Benny the Bull and do the fun little games that he puts in front of him. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love this from Mamu more in the future. I'm with you, Kespra. I think it's fun when he does the Robin Lopez. Yeah, Kaloy saying, good morning, Lex and everyone. Belt to ass. What a game. We have to thank DeJounte Murray for waking up our boys. I don't know. People are saying wake up, thank DeJounte. I'm not going to say thank you. I'm going to still say fuck you. But I will give some credit that he's the catalyst, but I don't understand why people are saying thank you. Don't thank him. He's a knucklehead. He shouldn't be encouraged for that kind of behavior. In fact, he should understand that his behavior may have got us out of the mud and that maybe doing that kind of stuff isn't good for his team. And he shouldn't act like that. Isn't just people saying, oh, we should thank DeJounte for what's happening? Maybe in a way, yeah. But in a way, no, don't thank him. He's a jerk. And give us more credit for reacting to it and give ourselves credit for what's happening more than that. In some ways, he did something that was wrong, and we reacted to it. And the action of reacting to it is what we should be thanking and giving credit to. That's the way I look at it, at least. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. Let's see. Where are we in this chat? Here we go. All right, let's do the Raptors Reddit reaction since there's something kind of like that. All right, here we go. This is my Raptors Reddit reaction of the day. My Raptors Redditor of the day is USA Gerp. He's saying, anyone ever watch Raptors games in French on RDS? The commentators are so goofy and unserious, it can be hilarious sometimes. One of them always yells, "Wee, Poppy! Wee, Papa! Wee, Papa! Yes, Daddy!" in ridiculous voices when we hit a three or a dunk, and they just overall have such a goofy energy. Laugh out loud. Matty D and Jack are still the best, of course. So, has anybody listened to the French broadcast for the Raptors? Maybe I should ask some of our francophones like Fiercey. Has anybody listened to the RDS broadcast? As I'd be curious to hear this. I mean, I'm not totally fluent in French, but I do know some French. I took French at Florida State and in high school, and I do have basic familiarity with the language. So when they ask RJ questions in the press, I kind of know what he's saying. It'd be fun. Maybe I should try and find a way to watch it on RDS and try and listen to it through French. Some of it is I'm not watching the games with the announcers on anymore. Like, because I watch League Pass and they don't have the Raptors announcers. I don't want to listen to the homer announcers, the other team. So I will actually mute them. And I don't listen to the announcers anymore. I just like watch the game silently. In fact, I put music on more often. Yeah, I'll put on some music during the game and I'll be grooving the music and watching the game because I don't need the announcers to tell me what's happening. I just watch it. And I'm like, oh, look what happened there. I don't need them to explain who got the foul or did this or that because I can see it and I can read it that way. So I've been putting the mute on and just watching the game and playing music. What was I listening to last night? I put on some Midnight Oil during the game because of Josh Giddey. I was like, let's go Australian because of Josh Giddey and listen to some Midnight Oil. And then in the second half, I played some Duran Duran because it was New Moon last night. And I wanted to listen to New Moon on Monday. And then, of course, Notorious came on. And I was like, yeah, Notorious, Notorious, bang, 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 bang. Yeah, if y'all don't know the real song that they keep playing at the arena for Brandon, Notorious by Duran Duran, go listen to this song. It's fun. And it's an 80s classic. And I think it's just cool that they use that sample for him on that for that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. That was my Raptors Redditor of the day. So if any of y'all watch the French broadcast, let me know. Let me know. Smooth saying Grady's shot does look awful, very concerning. He's wide open, and there's no excuse. Man, something's wrong with him, man. In some ways, I'm like, I don't care. If Grady, like somebody was saying in the Discord last night, well, I hope Grady gets another chance on another team and he still flourishes somehow. I don't care. If he does do that, that's great. If he doesn't, I don't care either way. Like if he's not on the team, I don't care. If he goes to another team and he blows up and he gets good, I don't care. At this point, in some ways, it's like Grady, just be Grady. Just live your life path. And I'm not going to expect anything from you anymore. It's just going to be low expectations. And whatever happens with Grady Dig, happens with Grady Dig, whether he's on our team or not. In some ways, it's like if he doesn't get any better for us and he leaves and he goes somewhere else, is that a bust? I don't know. He was a serviceable starter for 1 year. Where was he picked in the draft? Come on, guys. There's not going to be always a hit on every single thing that you draft in the draft. Kaloy saying it looks like Darko is trying to develop TJD into a hub-like player, like how Yak is playing right now. Maybe this is why he's not getting any playing time. I think that might be right. There's something to what Kaloy's saying. We like having the pivot at the high post as a hub. We've done this with Marc Gasol historically, and we've done this in recent years with Yak. And Trace does have a natural passing ability that is above average for his size. So this makes sense. So, yeah, this might be true. I really do think that it really is that the fact that he brought him in with only 5 minutes to go instead of 8 minutes to go with the rest of them shows that he is not totally with it on his conditioning. Like if he was on his conditioning, he would play the whole last 7 minutes like Grady did. not get taken out. But I don't think Darko trusted Trace Jackson Davis to be able to play a full 8 minutes of the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter without getting winded and having to come back out, or maybe even because of foul trouble. So that was telling that he was the last guy to get in, and he only got to play 5 minutes last night, because it may very well be that Coach Darko thinks that he can't handle an 8 minute shift in an NBA game right now. Because that's what they keep saying, his conditioning is not right. And the aspect that you're bringing up as far as him learning to be a hub and more advanced offensive stuff for our system, that may mean it's taking longer for him to learn certain stuff behind the scenes to be at the level where Darko is comfortable enough to play him in game situations that matter. Does that make sense? Because that's important. You want everybody to be on the same page. And part of the reason why this is working so well for the Raptors is we built up familiarity between our starters and main bench guys. And Trace doesn't have that yet. And you put him out there as one of the five, he can actually really screw up the team because he's not on the right page. So I think that's a lot of why this stuff has been happening with him not getting integrated quickly into our lineup and playing a lot of minutes so far, is because they really want to bring him along right, and they don't want to do it to a fast pace where it's a detriment to the team continuing to be successful. And I think that's what it is right there. Kaz is saying, count me in for WNBA fantasy again. All right. We've got 2 confirmed for sure, and I'm in too. Kaloy saying, I saw a video of Scotty's story yesterday and how his life changed with his stepdad. Good, great stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a video that's about Scotty's early life and getting it out of the mud and his humble beginnings. And I appreciate that. I mean, I kind of learned this stuff from doing research on him when we first drafted him, and then talking to him on his Twitch and understanding more about that personal struggle. You know, he told a story on Twitch one day that was very personal. He told a story about how his mother was on food stamps, and I don't know if his stepdad was around at this time, but his mother was on food stamps, and they'd get them every week or month or something like that. And Scotty got the food stamps before his mom got to them. And he went to the grocery store and he used all the food stamps to buy food, but he bought a bunch of junk food. He was a kid. He did that. He like took those food stamps that they got at the house and he went and bought all this junk food with it and came home. And he told us about his mom was so mad at him. He got beat because he took the food stamps and bought a bunch of junk food with it. You know, he'd tell us some stories about this kind of stuff, and it really grounds you and makes you realize, you know, Scotty, the way he sees money is in some ways is very different because he had no money when he was little. And you know, it's interesting because in some ways we see him get a suit and wear it for an event, and then take it back and get the money back. You know, he is very financially like he thinks a lot about like money. Let's just put it that way. And opportunities for him to make money, he's all about it. And you know, in fact, to the point where he was telling me, because I have that clip of him saying I'm the GOAT, he wanted money from my channel. He did that one day. He's like, Raptor Streak, I see you have my clip on your channel. I want some money from your channel for that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're gonna come and shake me down, Scott? Come on now. Like, you need money from me. And then even on the Twitch channels, he's always about the subs and like the ads and stuff. And people would be like, why are you running ads? You're a millionaire. Why are you doing this to us? He's like, man, he's got to make his money. So he's always a businessman at some degree. Scotty is always a businessman, and I don't think it's I don't think it's just a coincidence that his daughter's name is Millie. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, we love Scott, and you know, you be whoever you want to be. You deserve it. You've earned this. This is your life, and you got it out of the mud. And I'm not going to tell him how to be with his money and how he is. If he's a successful guy, he can be however he wants to be, because he's the face of the Raptors. That's right. That's right. But yeah, I haven't watched that video, but I do know a lot about his story coming up, and you know, the trials and tribulations of being a very low income person with somebody that just doesn't have a lot of support, and it's just really they're getting by, you know, getting by, man. It was a real boon when he got to live with the Mobos for a while and go stay with them. And he also, you know, he had a coach that was very prominent in his life that was absolutely instrumental in like helping him get to the place where he is. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. I love all the great comments today. Raptors Champs is saying karma is inevitable, so justice is already written. Every man is responsible for their own outcome. Yeah, I mean, and I guess it should be this way. I think that in some ways, I'm going to describe something, a concept that y'all I may have hinted at, but I'm gonna really talk about it right now. I believe that there's two gods at this point. There's two gods in this world. There's a God that's the God that we follow, which is life and love and humanity. Well, like I've said, I feel that God is the energy of life in all living creatures, whether it's a microorganism all the way up to a blue whale. All the people in the world, that is God. And if you're for God, you're for protecting that, you're for sustaining that, you're for abundance in that, and growing that. And that means permaculture is a means to build that up in your society. Is practice permaculture, practice biodiversity, practice encouraging species and different things to flourish instead of monoculture. Get rid of your lawn, get rid of, like, just I want to manicure and control my yard so much to such a little detail. That's horrible. We should be, nature's not perfect. Nature should have imperfections and weirdness. Your grass shouldn't all look the same. This isn't healthy for the world. So it's like that's human design on on nature that's not right. So I believe in that kind of God is nature, life force. And then I believe there's a very evil God out there that a lot of people are following right now that's misleading everybody, and that's called God money. There's people that act like they're Christians, but money is the most important thing in their life. That's the thing that drives them. That's the thing that makes their world go round. That's the thing that motivates them for everything they do. I think that these people are actually anti-Christ and anti-God at this point because the system's been abused to the point where we're destroying our world in the name of God money. So I want more and more people to look at, are you with the nature God or are you with the God money? Because those are the two sides coming up. And everybody wants to overdevelop, like logging the forests, going into mines, degrading our society environmentally because we're allowing corporations to do cheaper shortcuts to cut around things. And in some ways, that's the Ford government, the Canadian government, the US government are doing this kind of shit, rolling back protections for environment in the name of God money. And I feel like the people that worship God money are going to have their reckoning at some point because it's not even going to come from humans themselves. It'll come from the natural world. It'll come from degradation and destruction from natural disaster. It'll come from the fact that nobody has clean water. It'll come from the fact from there's going to be just all kinds of bad problems because of the worship of God money. So, everybody, I understand money is a necessary means to do certain things in your life, and it's the system we have set up. But really, what everybody needs to do inside themselves is understand which one of these gods are you putting your faith and energy and worship into more? Are you putting it into the God money, or are you putting it into the natural order of things, the natural God that we were all taught when we were younger? That this capitalist society is perverted and made into this really crazy, twisted world where it's a rat race and everybody's just trying to outdo each other and they don't care about each other. Nature is a collective, nature is symbiotic, nature is a partnership. And the individualism of personal wealth is not godlike. It's antichrist, and that is God money action. I think that a really good telling tale for what I'm saying is the Trent Reznor Nine Inch Nails song "Head Like a Hole." You can listen to that song and listen to it from the whole idea is like, I only care about money and making as much money as possible and be greedy like Elon Musk. I worship God money and I'll do anything for you. I will screw over the rest of the world. I will shoot my own mother in the head. I'll do all this crazy stuff just for another buck. These are the most dangerous antichrist people in the world that are completely in the church of God money. And, they can say they're Christians because they go to church on Sundays, but they are not if they are having an effect that is destroying the planet for their own God money gain. So yeah, I like this concept. I feel like this is a very good defining line for like, well, are you really on the right side of God and the right side of justice and the best things in the world? Well, which kind of God are you worshiping right now? And I understand to get extent of you got to make the means to live There is a certain level of you need to covet money to be able to have it to survive. But where is that line where you cross over it, where you've gone into a place where you're abusing it and you're overly greedy? And maybe you're not doing enough to give back to society as far as like paying your fair share of taxes, or maybe even setting up philanthropic programs and things to help other people. There's ways to do this. I believe we should do this in the society with the system and not have to depend on philanthropy from rich people. It should be just set up in the system that we take care of everybody and not have to be at their mercy. So yeah, think about those concepts. Maybe that's a little heavy, maybe it's a little something, but I believe in a certain God I talk about on this channel, but there's a lot of people out there worshiping God money. And there's the problem. That's the problem in this world right now. The people that worship God money, like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they are running this world into the ground for all of us. And it's only for their own selfish gain. Seriously, man. It's crazy, man. I hope that karma comes back around, Raptors champs. I really do. Kess was saying, we'll thank DeJounte when the Pelicans visit us in the upcoming game and beat them. Yeah, I don't know if I like the quotes. Thank. Yeah, receipt. Yeah, I like that. Maybe RJ has a receipt for him since he couldn't give him a receipt at that game. Yeah, maybe we just beat the hell out of them, and that's enough. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Yeah. Kaloy saying there's a difference with the way the starting unit is playing now. There's a force there that was not there earlier, even if we were winning. I think this is true. I think this is true. They're just moving different. And, we can think back to the 9-game winning streak in November and how we won those games. And this is really different. This is a little bit more organized, more polished, and there's a lot more familiarity in some ways. Like the connecting between the 5 starters is at high level right now. It's undeniable that there's synergy between Jakob and those other guys. There's undeniable that Scotty and RJ have a real connection. Obviously, Quickly and Barrett have been playing together for 6 years. There's going to be a familiarity and a building of knowing what each other's instincts are, and they're going to play off of them to their strengths. So, yeah, I think this is true. I think that they are playing, and they should be, because this is March. They should be playing better than they did in fall last year. They should be, yeah. Let's see. Good game saying 53 bench points. Yeah, that's a good number. That's a good number for yesterday. One of the better bench outputs by the Raptors bench this season, for sure. Fiercey saying, had to do damage control this AM, consoling Fiercey Jr. Her team lost the semifinals yesterday. Sunday, we're playing for the bronze medal. Hard to swallow as they've won the title the last 3 years. Well, this is important. These are important lessons. It's important to learn how to win, and it's important how to lose. Learn how to lose too. And they've had such excellence for years now. In some ways, I know she may have had wanting to keep that streak going and keep it perfect. But these things are opportunities, and in some ways, well, there's a lesson in the defeat and what you were doing to help her with consoling. I'm sure that you handled it really well. And maybe you told her something like Giannis would say, or something like that. You have to lose to be able to win. And the bronze game is going to be an important game this weekend, and that's an opportunity for redemption. So yeah, I know you're a great mom, and I know that you're giving Fiercey Jr. the best kind of advice for her to be successful as a young basketball player. And I love this, man. This is just the stuff. I'm telling you, man, basketball is strong in Canada, and it's evidenced by Fiercey and Fiercey Jr. and the relationship there with the young budding basketball player that wants to learn the game more and more as she gets older. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Well, go get that bronze game, Fiercey Jr. That's what I would say right there. Yeah, that's what I would say. I was sad, but had to provide positive reinforcement. Not easy to do when you deal with a highly competitive person and a sore loser. So she's like that. Well, in some ways that can be a real advantage, but it is a burden too. When you lose, you feel it really heavy when you're ultra competitive and you really care about winning. Yeah, you feel it really heavy. But you know what? These are the lessons. She's not going to win every time. She's going to have to learn how to deal with losing also. That's just part of it. That's just part of it. Let's see. G's saying, let her know that good news is she will learn more from the loss, which will help her and the team will get even better. As a former sore loser, this is what happened to me. This is what helped me. Yeah, yeah. I love like all the different comments about counseling younger players that you guys have brought lately, like talking to your nephew or talking to your daughter, talking to your son, and teaching them the game and passing it forward. Good sportsmanship, the right way to look at the game, the right way to treat it. This is awesome. This is the stuff that basketball is all about. It's about connection. It's about relationships, and it's definitely about fun. That's the most important thing. Always remember to keep that fun in there. That's right. Fiercely saying thank you to G. It's appreciated. Chloe saying, look, Alex, look up ghostism. That is exactly what they believe of a false god. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't I'm not really done very much religious studies. Like religion is not something that's very attractive to me for most of my life. I've been a very secular person. I have not been a regular goer most of my life, but I've in recent years, with the guidance of people on this channel, have found a deeper spirituality and a connection to a higher power. And I appreciate for that. In some ways, this is not a world that I know a whole lot about, but in some ways, what I just described, I feel like this is something we need to frame going into the next era right now, that this is a distinguishable thing. There's a big movement out there called degrowth, which is basically that they believe that humans have just been building up society in an abusive, like irresponsible way. We're mass production and making so much trash and junk and our resources. We're using too much stuff and using it up and wasting too much stuff too. And while we're destroying our planet and the environment, and that in some ways, if we do have cataclysm, if we do have severe environmental problems like rising sea levels and droughts and more cataclysm, humans are going to have to adjust to that. And we may have to be very, very protective of our ability to grow our own food. We're going to have to be protective of water supply. And there may be a huge movement that is coming soon that's very naturally, organically coming, that's against the over uh, production and manufacture and everything about our society, that we need to take a step back and slow down and kind of like stop abusing our resources, wasting our resources just because somebody wants to make profits. We have to be a little bit more measured and smart. The whole idea of capitalism is very cancerous. It's not a sustainable system because at some point resources are limited and we run out of them. The system won't go any further after that. So we really got to temper this. And in some ways, there are movements out there to simplify your life. Cut out a lot of the extra shit. Stop buying so much crap that you don't need at Walmart. Stop buying just frivolous knickknacks or plastic things that, stuff that's going to not be used after a little while and you got to throw it away. There's a lot of different ways we can look at this and try and be better about this, and each individually. But we need the top to do this more seriously because they're the most egregious offenders. Big, huge corporations that pollute our waterways and our skies and our air. And greedy people that just want to make more money, that don't care about the implications or the ramifications or the reverberations of their decisions in their companies that they are making so much money off of. They don't care about the cost, if there's human cost, environmental cost, or any of that kind of stuff. This is the thing. This is the thing. We got to talk about this kind of stuff right now. That's right. Smooth saying it fiercely. All part of the journey for her. It's the struggle that makes the end result worth it. That's right. She's had success before. So part of that's the thing. She's had success and now she's failed somewhere where she had success before. That's a whole new lesson in itself that she has to learn. That's right. G saying, I was a crash out sore loser. Being challenged to learn from losses changed my perception and tapped into my problem solving side. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a winner and a loser in competitions. That's the nature of them, right? And you have to have your turns being that loser sometimes. If you're 100% a winner, wow, good for you. You're like the Raptors 905 in the tip off tournament. Fiercely saying, indeed, rough times shape you for the future. That's right. Kaloy saying, Brandon is making more passes now. Oh, yeah. I wanted to bring this up. Thank you, Kaloy, because I did mention this in the chat, and I think you saw it in the Discord. Brandon Ingram did a really good job last night passing out of the double team. Did you notice that? Like he's doing a whole thing where he's kind of doing a fake pass and then coming around and throwing it around that way to make it. Yeah, I noticed that. That Brandon's doing a much better job getting the ball out of there when the double team comes and finding somebody without a turnover, getting the ball effectively out of there. So this is a good development because there was some struggling with this where Brandon wasn't recognizing the double team soon enough and they were trapping him up real nice and he was just done. He couldn't do anything. He would try and beat the double team sometimes. He had some success by himself, but I like it much better when he sees the double coming and he gets that ball out of there quicker to get the ball to other guys because we are a very equal lineup. And it's like, Brandon getting trapped like that. Well, any of the Raptors, they get trapped like that. They need to pass out. And just because it's BI3 doesn't mean he needs to hold on to it and try and beat both of them like DeMar DeRozan used to when he played in the Raptors. You know, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. All right, straight goods on Canadian goods real quick. Y'all, it's almost spring. In fact, today's technically the first day of spring. I don't know if y'all know that. But yeah, ProMix is a soil company out of Quebec. And I bought this to seed start my plants inside. And yeah, this has mycoactive enzymes in it or entities, which is basically like fungus, like like the stuff that's naturally in the ground that causes a lot of good things for your soil. So, and there's actually living creatures in this bag. Like I put some of the soil in my planters and started some seeds, and a little ladybug crawled out of it. I was like, wait, where this ladybug crawled from? It was actually in the bag when it came. But I have another big bag of soil over there that's 60 pounds of Pro Mix soil that I'm gonna use in my raised beds when the weather turns finally right. But yeah, if you want soil for your gardening stuff, this is Pro Mix. I have the bag closed up, but it's called Pro Mix, and I believe they're out of. Let me just see real quick. They are out of Quebec. Yeah, so they've been around since 1923. Wow, amazing. So yeah, it's a really important you want to buy Canadian products. This is a stuff something from inside our country. You can see the flag right there. So Pro Mix for you to buy your soil for your garden projects this early spring. There you go. There's your straight goods on Canadian goods. That's right. Medved Ted saying Brandon occasionally running the point. He's a great playmaker. Yeah, this is something they've been doing. Is why even have trouble trying to get the ball to him in the post? Just give it to him on the other side of the court and let him dribble the ball up to the court. And this is smart because Brandon has that attacking motion where he can go a first quick step around the defender if they're not right, and he can get in the lane all of a sudden and make his own room and make his shot that way. So, if we were having trouble maybe a month ago with getting the entry pass to Brandon in the low post, why not just detour all that and go ahead and just give him the ball before the half court line and let him dribble up and engage into the offense himself already holding the ball. This has been a very smart switch up for Darko. In some ways, he said a couple weeks ago in an interview, we need to brainstorm and figure out a new idea and ways to get Brandon the ball easier because we're struggling to just get him the ball. Teams have figured out the scout and they're covering him up real well. So this is one of the ways they do it. Just have him stand out there with Shed, and Shed will just hand him the ball at half court, and he'll have the ball already there. Really, really smart. Really good change. And then you add into also having him off ball and have somebody else come around, but then they're running him off really good screens around the horn, and they just drop the ball off to him, and he gets the ball easier that way than trying to throw an entry pass to the post. I find that a lot of the post entry pass by the Raptors this year are very risky. That whether it's Brandon or Scotty, and they're trying to get the ball into them for post, our team is not doing a good enough job trying to get the ball to them carefully without the ball getting turned over and people getting hands on it. And all of a sudden, it's like part of it is recognizing the passer, recognizing that the post up guy has actually got position physically, and he's not fighting the guy off. Sometimes they'll force the pass into the post, and the guy who's posting isn't ready yet because he's still kind of struggling with position against the defender. And they throw it to the guy and he's not ready. He's holding the other guy back. He's like, no, I'm not ready. I can't get it. There's some patience to trying to get the ball into the paint in the post. And sometimes the Raptors are a little too impatient in forcing things. And that causes turnovers. That causes turnovers right there. All right, let's see. We'll do the Instagram stories real quick. We got Mamu with that section of the game where Jacoby got the block and then he got the big dunk at the other end. And he's also got the clip of him beating the mascot. So he's very proud that he beat that mascot, obviously, with that baton. And yeah, that was pretty violent, man. In some ways, we don't need more violence in this world, but it is funny. Jacoby's got the picture of them in the chain, and these guys are funny in the chain picture. I'm gonna just go over these guys a little bit. We got Jacoby holding the chain up like this. RJ's like so happy. You can see he's like holding Jacoby's arm, and he's just like smiling next to him. Scotty's got the biggest smiley face on his face. Yock's just back there hiding out in the back. Of course, Grady looks a little scared. I don't know. The game he had was not that good, so I can understand that. Garrett Temple's having the time of his life. You can tell. And then, of course, Brandon's always hiding in the back. Like it's like Brandon's where's Waldo in the team photos? Like, can you find him? He's like hiding somewhere in the back always. He's never trying to get up in front of it, but he's somewhere back there. Often we'll say, "Where's Brandon? He's not in the team photo." No, he's back there. You can kind of see his arm on the side of Sandro right there. He's there. It's just that he's not trying to get front and center. And I think he's actively trying to hide in the picture. I think he is. But yeah, we love the team photos. And I love having them as the cover photo for my stream the next day. It's just awesome. So joyous. So joyous, the celebration pictures. That's right. There's a little roll to Curtis Andrade, the equipment manager of the Raptors. He kicks the ball over to Jacoby. Jacoby shoots the shot. It's a three. It's good. There you go. That's awesome. And there's a handshake. Yes. Good job, equipment manager Andrade. That's right. Let's see. Anything else here? We got Toronto Tempo president saying this. Right now, we have aligned on key elements of a new collective bargaining agreement. Together, we still need to finalize a formal term sheet, but the progress made in these discussions marks a transformative step forward for players in the league. It underscores a shared commitment to the continued growth of the game. So we'll share additional details as they become available. We're very proud to be leading women's sports. These players are amazing, and we're going to have an amazing 30th season tipping off in the WNBA in May. Yeah, that's awesome statement. And they're saying that the agreement is really transformative for women's sports, that it's setting the table for better pay, equal pay for women's sports in comparison to men's sports. Because this is a whole other level. And the parameters of the WNBA agreement apparently are allowed to expand with the earnings of the league for the players to get their fair share. So I'm really happy. It sounds like a labor win. Now, some people are saying that they could have got even more, and that's possible, or they deserve more. But this is at least way better than what the owners were first originally trying to offer to the WNBA Players Association. So yeah, this is a win-win because we want WNBA basketball, and the owners don't want to lose money, and they were going to lose money if they didn't get their act together. Let's just put it that way. Raptors 905 camp is in full effect this week for March break, and the Jones children are there, Drewski and Ava and Heidi and all kinds of other kids. And they had special guests at the practice yesterday. Jarkel Joyner and Tyree Key came down to the 905 camp and were with the kids and teaching them basketball stuff. So very cool stuff going on with the 905 with their new practice facility, and also Camp 905 going on this week for the out there in Mississauga. Yeah, very, very good stuff. Fred VanVleet's proud of the WNBA Players Association for coming up with this agreement as the president of the NBA's Players Association. So yeah, let's see. What else do we have? Okay, Elijah's out walking the dog in Toronto somewhere. It's very cool. Always cool to see Elijah out with the dog. Toronto Tempo is doing Eid Mubarak. So I say happy Eid. I guess that's happening right now. Let's see what else. Jonathan and Lloyd are all about the new Spider-Man that's coming out. They've been posting clips of that. Eric Smith's going on about the gas prices right now around the world. Yeah, they're pretty bad. Where in the world is Serge Ibaka? He's in Miami. He's driving a Lamborghini apparently in Miami. That's where Serge Ibaka is. And it looks like CJ Miles had a really good birthday. Speaking of birthdays, I missed a birthday yesterday that I should have said. I want to say happy 38th birthday to Ben Uzo. Ben Uzo is a scout for the Raptors. He still currently works for them. And I met Ben and Uzo when Tom Duke came to Toronto and we went to game. Tom Duke came from Vancouver, BC, to come to a game here in Toronto. Yes, people from BC do fly to Toronto to come to see Raptors games. Idiot on Reddit who thinks nobody flies from other cities in Canada to go to the Raptors games. You're a dumbass. There's people flying in from all over the country that want to go to Scotiabank Arena. But anyway, I met Ben Uzo at Raptors Tonight taping in the Real Sports. He's just such a nice guy. So I want to say happy birthday to Ben, current scout of the Raptors, and also a former Raptor player who's one of the few Raptors who got a triple double. That's right. He is the guy who has a triple double for the Raptors in his history, but it was actually his birthday yesterday. I missed out on it. I apologize for missing that out on that. I apologize so much. He played 16 games for the Raptors. It started 8 of them and only averaged 4.8. That's why it's so amazing that this guy actually got a triple double in a Raptors jersey. All right, today's birthday though actually is his birthday. Is Ball? That's right, Ball. That's right. Hidiat Turkoglu. It's your birthday today, my guy. Hidu played for the Raptors for 1 year, 74 games. He started 69 of them and averaged 11 points per game. Of course, y'all remember Hidu Turkoglu, right? Well, it's his birthday today. So say happy Ball birthday to Ball. Ball. That's right, Ball. Hidu's birthday. That's right. That's right. Let's see what else is in the tabs. Y'all check on your fantasy teams in the NBA Yahoo Fantasy League. And as I said earlier, we're gearing up for the WNBA Fantasy League. So let it be known. I've got Kaz and Fiercey as a for sure in, and I'll get some more confirmations from other people very soon. All right, let's do the classic car of the day. And man, I'm at 2.5 hours. Yeah, it's a good game yesterday. We want to cover all the bases of it, and we do other stuff on this channel too. All right, let's do this card. This card is cool. All right, here we go. Full name answer on the classic car of the day. Let me know who this is. It's pretty easy. This guy's pretty well known. So yeah, let me know who this is. Classic card of the day. Yeah, this is a pretty nice card. He looks pretty surprised. Whoa, what's going on there? What's going on over there? That's right, Slug DZ knows. This is, of course, the dad on American Dad, Steve Smith. Steve Smith wasn't the dad. He's Stan. I think it's the kid. The son is Steve Smith with the glasses. He was Steve Smith on American Dad. Yeah, that's Steve Smith, formerly of the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat, a couple other teams too. But yeah, Steve Smith was on the second Dream Team. He was on that team that competed in Toronto at the Sky Dome for Team USA with Shaq and Hakeem Olajuwon and a bunch of other guys, Isaiah Thomas. But yes, Steve Smith is the card of the day. And I'm telling you, man, this is too easy. So I'm going to give you just 50 points for this one because he's pretty well known. He was an all-star, and it's an easy card. You know it is like easy. So we'll just give you 50 for that one. And yeah, classic card of the day. The king of the classic card is on it. And he's got another 50 points added to his trivia score. That's right. All right, let me see. Am I done? I'm going to wrap it up. All right, let's see. Once again, the Raptors beat the Bulls by 30 points last night. They swept the season series against Chicago, which is fantastic. I had 7 stars in the game, and they are RJ Barrett, number 1 star, Brandon Ingram, number 2 star, Scotty Barnes, number 3 star, number 4 star, Jakob Poeltl, 5th star, and got the chain, Jacoby Walter, 6th star, Sandro Mamukelashvili, and then a 7-star for Emmanuel Quickly. Honorable mention to Jamal Shed. Yeah. So once again, guys, keep this momentum going, Raptors. We're going to Denver next. We're going to go see Big Jokic. And well, I like our coach knows Jokic inside out. That's always good because in some ways that's a advantage if you know your opponent really well. And Darko knows Jokic really well. So who knows? Maybe he knows some secrets about Nikola that nobody else knows that we can utilize to beat the Nuggets on Friday night. I'll have the preview tomorrow for that game and also the first game for the 905 in Portland in Rip City Remix. We're going to be playing. Both teams are playing tomorrow night, and they're honestly playing at the same time. So we're going to have double watching tomorrow night around 9 p.m. Eastern is when the Rip City Remix game is, and then the Raptors will play around that time also. So, yeah, we're going to have double duty tomorrow night with both teams playing at the same time. So, hopefully, you have 2 screens or you're just watching the Raptors. I get it. But the 905 will be playing the same time as the Raptors tomorrow. So, be ready for that. And it's obvious that AJ and Elijah are traveling with the 905 right now. And Mobo's with the Raptors, though. Mobo's with the Raptors. Chucky's with the Raptors, too. they're letting Chucky hang out and travel with the Raptors and be with the big squad. So yeah, let's see. Somebody just messaged something on Discord. What is this? Trevor Jace posted that Cade Cunningham has been diagnosed with a collapsed lung. Yeah, we know this. You just posted this just now. We know this. We talked about this. It's not breaking news, my guy. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak stream today. Great job taking care of business, being professional, and not playing down to your opponents, Toronto. And let's keep this standard. We do really well on West Coast road trips this year. And, well, we're on another one starting now. And, well, maybe we can surprise some people and go snatch some victories against teams like the Clippers, the Suns, and the Nuggets. And the Jazz game, well, we should win that one for sure, right? I would think so. Kaz, thank you. And I got you penciled in for WNBA action this year. That's right, because you won last year. You want to defend your title. And yeah, it's going to be a good year coming up. Yeah, you're welcome, Fiercey. Always trying to support. Raptor Freak family is there for each other. And I appreciate everybody. All right, I'll see you guys. Yeah, you know what, Fiercey? This too shall pass. Let's just say that. And once again, you know your daughter the best. If it's tough love or if it's just being sweet towards her when she's having a hard time, maybe there's something nice you guys could go do today that'll celebrate or show and help her get in a better mood. Who knows? There may be something Either way, I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Previews for both the games tomorrow night. Let's go Raptors. I'm so proud of you guys. And Raptors fans, it's night and day how we felt last Thursday, how we feel this Thursday, right? Last Thursday was a pretty dark place. Well, it's amazing what a week can change. And maybe that's part of the lesson Fiercey has for Fiercey Jr. is things can turn around real quick when you're down in the dumps. So let's go out west, Raptors, and beat some Western Conference teams. You can stay up in the standings.